podcast is not destroyed. It is locked in a cage, and with enough force, enough violence, the lock can be broken. It comes back, the podcast, not completely, not entirely, but enough to drive you, to make you feel you have been cheated, enough to make you angry.
Okay, good.
It's good summation.
From the start,
right?
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
Very serious.
Yeah, I've been fucking up the accents really hard this series, so I didn't even want to try to do a McAvoy. But the other line, I mean, it's shorter, but it was just tempting, was no podcast is worth a human life.
Give it a shot.
No pod.
Okay.
No.
You go right to Connery, I think.
I do.
With the Scottish accent. And Connery is really in his own realm.
Yeah.
Of both the way he talks and just impressions. Like, you're just doing Connery.
Yeah, I saw someone on Reddit slam my weak attempt at a Dave Bautista impression in our Knock at the Cabin episode, which in my defense, I don't think I've heard anyone nail
But I'd like
Batista.
to hear someone nail it because he does have a specific cadence.
Though,
It's cadence and pitch, obviously, but I just like
that whispered
right,
thing.
but there's like I didn't get close, and I don't think anyone has. But someone said we have to accept that Griffin basically has two impressions: Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Liam Neeson.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
He does a really good Joseph
I do
Gordon-Levitt in
Which
Inception.
movie, though?
Inception.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember a single damn thing, but please tell
This
me.
is my totem. It's a loaded die. Only I know the exact weight and shape of this loaded die.
He does have that weird, like,
Yeah.
in the back of
Yeah,
his throat
and it's
thing.
like
That he's like clenching or something.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
some
and it's
gritted
standing up
teeth.
very straight.
Yes.
His neck is very long.
Why did you want him to do Don John or like what were you? Hoping
I mean,
for?
I did that.
I
know
don't
you
want to hear about that.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking of The Walk, which
Oh
I
wow.
think I told you maybe last time. Oh, it's so rude. I can't say that on a podcast. But
I was gonna say, I don't know if you remember this, but we were recording our episode on Castaway, and in the middle of recording, you went, "Can we stop recording for a second?"
Oh,
And we said, "Yeah," and you went, "The Walk made me almost want to quit filmmaking. Start recording again,
that is so.
So we can cut it out
funny.
again.
Oh
We can-
my god,
or
that's
we can keep it in
hilarious.
and double it."
People actually listen to me on this podcast. Well, obviously, a lot of people listen to your podcast. And I was like texting a director to be like, "Is this line producer great?" Blah blah. And he was like, "Yeah. Also, I loved you on Blank Check." And I was like, "Oh, which episode?" He's like, "Oh, both episodes." I was like, "I'm about to do another one. Stay tuned."
Trilogy.
Yeah,
I
Trill.
got a hat trick. This is fun.
It's a hat trick.
Well, we got to keep having you. Yeah, it's nice. We're in person for the first time ever.
Yes,
with
yes.
you,
Great.
Your
Nia.
first two appearances were both. Well, first time was deep in lockdown. Second time
Yeah.
you were in London prepping the Marvels.
Yeah.
Is that
And
what
now
2 years
you're in
ago.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been 84 years.
Time's passed.
Yeah.
Time's passed.
The first time I was in my closet. And
I remember
Yes.
you were in your closet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like talking into AirPods or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But now you're with us.
And also, I don't know if you saw it, Ben on the shelf now, prime position, the Wilson volleyball.
Oh, I
Oh,
did see
that's
that. And I
right.
can't remember what it was. It's over there on the left.
Yeah, right by King Ralph VHS.
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Really important artifacts
Yes.
of our culture.
Yes.
Mhm.
The history. It's for the culture.
Griff, you've added a lot of stuff.
I brought over a lot of little guys.
So I
yeah.
shouldn't bring you a gift next time I come.
Please.
Absolutely.
Bring us
All
gifts.
right,
You
I'm so
kidding
sorry,
me?
Ben.
Do you
No,
have
it's
like,
fine.
I don't know, the Space Stone? I don't know. I was trying to think of
a
it.
Marvel
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. If you have
Cosmic
any
Marvel
like
thing.
spare Infinity Stones lying around, we'll take those.
Let me check.
The
Yeah.
Space Stone is it actually is the one I would want. That's the one where you can travel, you can teleport.
I want the Rally
Oh.
Stone. Once you have the Rally Stone, you can do anything, though. I feel like
yeah, but you're not smart enough
that's
to like, and
scary. I
neither
don't
am
like
I'm
I.
not
that.
smart.
I
No
don't
one
like that.
is. Yeah, because then you just accidentally like turn your mom into balloons and be like, oh, how do I undo that? Like,
I don't know. She might be easier to handle in that state.
Floating away.
Yeah.
From you.
No, I'll hold on to her. But I'm
Space
just
Stone,
like,
it's just like I want to go to McDonald's.
Space Stone would be mine too because
Right.
I don't like flying and that's it.
I don't like flying
David
either.
hates
Yeah.
flying.
How do you
Fly all
deal
the
with
time.
it? You have to fly. You're a busy,
part of it is-
important person.
Really, that's very
You
sweet.
are.
Very sweet.
Hollywood bigwig.
Part of it's like just mentally like trying to convince myself I'm not gonna be in a plane crash.
Yes.
Which has actually gotten a lot better because I used to get on planes and I'd be like, this is it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I get on and I just know I'm gonna be slightly scared whenever there's turbulence.
Me too. Would you do the thing
Mhm.
where you'd like eat a bagel before you got on the plane? You'd be like, it might be the last bagel I ever ate. Like I would do stuff like that.
No, I would be more like the night before I would have like heart like it would be like like scared. And then I saw the ritual. Like I had to get to the airport early. I had to like be through thing like hours before, have a meal, have a drink,
Yeah.
chill. And now it's sort of like I just know I'll be scared when there's turbulence. That's pretty much it. And then I also got an Ativan prescription.
I was about to
which
say,
I
there's
don't
this wonderful
really
thing called
use.
Klonopin, if you but
I
Ativan's
don't
good
really
too.
use it.
Right?
Also, I took an Ativan when I fly to London because that's always bumpy. And I only resorted to medication because I had this flight to Israel that was insane. Like I was like, I mean, it wasn't even that I thought we were going down. It was just like so like up and down, and it was terrible. And I'd never been on a flight that bad before. And of course, you look at flight attendants, and they're just like
That's my first thing. Of
upside
course,
down,
is you
flying
look
to the
right at
cabin. They're like,
them,
everything's fine. And then I was like, how long was that? It was like an hour and a half. And she was like, I don't know, like 40 minutes.
40 minutes though. That's
a
long.
It was long. Yeah. And everyone was, you can hear like the cutlery clattering.
Yeah.
Oof. And she's like, yeah, we're just flying through like a weather system.
Well, why are we doing that?
Exactly.
Do you do the Jello thing?
Imagine yourself.
It's a classic anxiety thing they tell people who are afraid of flying is imagine that the plane is in a big thing of Jello. And so, yes, it's wobbling around within the Jello,
insulated.
but that's it.
I did the gravel thing where like, so my manager's brother is a pilot and he was like, imagine driving down a country road.
Right.
When you feel turbulence, it's like the car
going over gravel.
not even going into a pothole, going over gravel.
Right. Yeah, that
was like,
makes sense.
Well, bitch, that makes me feel a lot better.
I have a question
like
for
that.
the two of you.
Yeah.
Have either of you ever tried hypnotherapy to get over your fear of flights?
So watching this movie again, I was like, I should try that.
100% effective. Works perfectly.
Now I'm not afraid of flying, but I am like an art thief. That'd be my fear.
Oh my God,
it's
that'd be
like not afraid of flying at all, but I'm like, why do I have this in my jacket?
See, this is my issue. I'm not afraid of flying at all. I'm terrified of Rosario Dawson now. I couldn't be more afraid.
Yeah.
You're watching Star Wars. You're like curled up in a ball. She's in Star Wars.
You know
right?
what's one of the most immense things about this movie?
What?
I was reading interviews with Danny Boyle talking about why he made this film and the origin. I didn't realize how bizarre the story of him getting to making this film is.
Right.
But that he was like, I had never made a movie where a woman, a female character, was the heart of the story.
Yes.
What about 28 Days Later?
Yeah, you know what? I might even say to Danny, like, I'm not sure that's right, buddy. Like,
No.
I think, yeah.
A, I'd say, I'm not sure that's right. B, I'd say, this is the one?
Yeah, this isn't the...
That's the thing that drew you to this?
That feels like something that a director says on a press tour where they're like, I don't know, that sounds like something interesting to say.
Yeah.
And I would have to be like, Slumdog, it's kind of like, a man and a woman, 28
Life Less
Days
Ordinary.
Later, Life Less Ordinary. You've made actually a fair amount of movies where it's sort of true.
Yeah.
And he would be like, oh, I forgot I made Slumdog Millionaire. Yeah, like, I feel like sometimes, like...
Right.
Like, if I told you, if I was like, you remember in Candyman, would you go like, what? Oh, Candyman, right, I directed that. Or would you not?
I might, just because I have problems. Anytime anyone's like, I like that movie, I was like, literally, someone said, I really liked it. And I said, really? Yeah, anyway, that's my own personal issue. But.
I just sometimes feel like directors don't think about their own oeuvre as much as I do.
During press
Except for
tours,
Tarantino.
your brain turns to mush.
Yeah,
I think people don't know what they're saying. I remember him going on Film Spotting when this was coming out. Danny Boyle went on and he actually like did the top 5 with them. And the top five. Film Spotting, great film podcast out of Chicago, friends of the show, which has been going on for 18 years now.
Oh, wow.
They always do like a top 5 list that's usually linked to whatever the new release film is that they're talking about that week.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be like Decision to Leave, and then it's like top 5 cops in love movies or whatever the fuck it is. Right? That was one they did recently. So they had Danny Boyle on. I think they reviewed Trance, and then they had him on for the top 5, which if they have guest interview subjects like that, they don't usually do the work of like making a top 5 list.
Sure.
But their list was top 5 Danny Boyle characters.
Oh God! What
And
did
he was like,
I have no idea who are my characters.
He was like, my exercise is I only want to pick female characters because I feel like I've underserved female characters in my career.
So it's clearly something that's bothering him.
Yeah, it was when this was coming out, and he was just like, Trance, this was
That's
part
funny
of what drew me
he's made
to it.
no movie since this that had female leads.
No.
Not to drag you, Danny Boyle. Like this is not.
Look, I think he has good female characters. He doesn't make films that are female driven per se.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not like I feel like his films are lacking. Anyway, listen, this is a podcast called Blank Check with Griffin and David. I'm Griffin.
Hey, David.
So quick and so muttered.
I guess the twist of this movie is that Rosario Dawson is the main character, but you can't reveal that on the press tour.
I was
not
watching
to spoil
it.
Trance for
I just
everybody.
watched this for the first time, and every 10 minutes there's another twist in the movie, and I'm going, he thinks she's the heart of the movie? And then when you get to the end, you go, yes.
Yes.
But yes, the twist of this movie is that every 10 minutes there's another twist.
Yeah.
It is insane.
Who's our guest?
structurally. Well, I'm not done
Oh,
setting
okay.
up the show.
Oh, sorry.
David, there's a table that needs to be set here.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask her something. So
Podcast about filmographies, directors who have massive success early on in their career and are given a series of blank checks, make whatever crazy passion products they want. Sometimes those checks clear. Sometimes they shave all the hair off their body, baby.
well, except for their head. She keeps the tresses.
I don't know.
I did like how he was like, hair connects us to our base selves and taking. I was like, there's so much hair pollen on top of that woman's head.
That is the weirdest explanation, by the way.
Can I tell you when I first saw this movie?
Yeah.
When it first came out, I guess in 2013.
2013.
At, I think this is a cinema that's now on Third Ave. That, I don't know, Village East or whatever.
The AMC or the second Avenue
AMC or
12th
the
Street.
City Cinema?
Which is now owned by Angelica.
Oh, great.
Yes.
But I watched it, and when that razor sound filtered in from the bathroom, I
Mhm.
thought to myself, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And then when they panned up her body, and they were like, bare puss. And I'm Rosario, and he was like, how did you know? I was like, this is crazy.
It is one of the more bizarre scenes I think we've ever covered on this
Also,
show.
she did that way too fast.
Way too
You have
fast.
to get into nooks and crannies,
It's
girl,
weird.
to
I
get
mean,
that
maybe-
bare.
I mean, and like I think there's an after skincare routine happening. She is
Really?
shiny.
She needs
That-
something.
That
Yeah.
looks like that was 3 separate rounds on consecutive
she should've waxed. It
days,
should've been like-
follow-ups. Yes.
You're right.
She sounded like
She
straight
leaves.
before.
No, she leaves. She gets in a cab. She's like, yeah, I'll be back in like 45
Exactly.
minutes.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, you
I'll be
know.
back for you. Yeah.
We're talking about the films of Danny Boyle. The miniseries is called Trance Podcasting. Today we're talking about Trance, a true blank check film.
I mean,
It is.
and
Yes.
and really, I know this is not his immediate follow-up to a Best Picture winner, but this is a pretty crazy follow-up to a Best Picture winner and then nomination. You know, like
Yeah.
Wait,
to
what,
a
what was right before this?
127 hours.
Oh, people like that one.
Yeah.
yes,
a good movie.
and that's his actual like. Okay, I made a Best Picture winner. I want to make
Right.
this movie with just one character trapped in a
I
rock.
thought Slumdog was the best picture winner.
That's what I'm
It
saying.
was.
So
Oh, and then
Slumdog gets in
127.
this,
Right.
Yeah, okay.
but
And that was
still
good.
after that,
then-
and that got attention and
Right.
awards.
127 hours was a mild check clear. So then it
Yeah.
was like, okay, you once again get to make whatever you want. He's like,
Yeah.
this time I'm gonna do something wild. Our guest today returns to the show for the 3rd time, the hat trick, Nia DaCosta in person.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm incredibly excited to be here in
That's
person.
really nice. It's so
And I
I'm
haven't seen you
excited
since
to-
I escorted you into the offices of VH1.
for vinyl.
Oh, in
Oh,
person.
for VH1. That's
Yeah,
right. That's what
well,
it was.
yeah.
Did I
Yes.
see you after that?
I think so. Well, videology trivia, maybe.
Oh, but I saw you from afar. I didn't like talk to you.
Sure. But yes, I think we talked about this in the first appearance,
Yeah.
but you were working for VH1 on this pilot that never went.
Yeah.
And
20s
I
versus
love
30s.
Yep, it was an attempt at creating a new I Love the 80s type show. I guess
Yeah.
Guy Code
Guy
and
Code was
Girl
more
Code
that, yeah.
kind of ate their lunch
Yeah.
a little, but the idea was have comedians in their 20s and comedians in their 30s riffing on the differences.
And shortly after that, pretty much everyone at VH1 got fired. So
Yeah.
I think it was-
as
I think
is
it was our
often the
show
case.
that
But
did
you
it.
were prompting me. You were like, and what are your thoughts
oh,
on
that's so funny.
Rent?
That's so funny.
Like when you're in your 20s.
Me and the other AP were just like writing things, and we're like, "This is," because I was 23 at the time, maybe
Yeah.
or something. I was right 24, maybe. Yeah, hilarious.
Yeah, bizarre.
Mhm.
Bizarre. But so nice to have you back in person for the first time. Talk about this movie, which I think we were waiting for you to be out of the machinery of the humongous movie you were directing.
Which you are not completely out of.
No.
No, I don't think any Marvel director's out until the movie's out.
And then what happens? Do they like give you a gold watch or something?
Yeah,
Like
I wish. I don't know. They give you a sticker for.
you
know.
tried.
Yeah, you did it.
You get a gold
And then
star.
your box
Yeah.
office bonuses, I guess.
Sure.
Oh, that's not
No, no,
Which is okay.
That's
It's
a
not
gold
bad.
watch. Yeah.
But we're waiting for things to calm down a little bit to have you back on, which we're very eager to do. And I feel like this was locked in for a while. It was an immediate trance. We might have even given you first pick of all Boyle, and you immediately
Yeah,
said
I
trance.
did, yeah, which is well, oh no. Did that what happened? I'm crazy. That's
Maybe?
crazy.
All right.
Yeah.
No, I would no.
I'm calling
No,
it
I
up,
think you
yeah.
had a couple left because check the emails.
Okay.
Because I think I would have chosen 28 Days Later probably. Because that's genuinely my favorite Danny Boyle.
Interesting.
But I assume someone very amazing has it already.
Well, no, because 20 Days Later took us a while to fill. So now you
Oh.
might have.
You know what? I might have
chosen
just
this.
Here
said
we go,
trans and
Nia.
we're like,
Here we go,
okay,
yeah. Because initially there was some thought of you coming on our Kubrick,
Yeah.
but you were still in
Right,
LA and you
right.
would have to do a
Yes,
Zoom
that
and you
was the
want to do in
thing,
person.
right.
And you
Yeah.
said, wait, Danny Boyle, very tempting. Is it weird that I would have wanted to do Trance? And I was like,
Immediate.
You want to do Trance, like that's the call because
right.
no
we
one's
just locked
asking
it in.
for Trance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't think we had even told other people we were doing Boyle,
Right.
offered things up, and you just called your shot in advance.
Wait, who's doing 28 Days?
David Rees.
Episode with our friend David Rees, it was a good episode. Great episode. You like that movie too?
Oh, I think
it's incredible.
I mean, like I can watch it all the time. It's amazing.
In my opinion, only better on rewatch. Like I loved revisiting that movie.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I'll say, mild correction. I was watching what was it? There's a weird special feature on the Trance Blu-ray that's Danny Boyle a retrospective.
Mm-hmm.
That's him running through all the films he made for Fox.
Okay.
Being like, I think Fox is the best place to make movies. You realize a majority of his films have been for Fox, although some of them, like Slumdog, were made for other studios and then bought by Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, and some of them were Fox Searchlight, some of them were big
but
Fox.
Sunshine was Fox. 28 Days Later was eventually taken by Fox.
Life Less Ordinary and Beach were both Fox.
Right, yeah.
So he was just running through only his Fox films, right?
That's so funny.
And he said, because we were like a little confused on the 28 Days Later timeline about 9/11 and everything. The stuff, the empty streets of London, all the opening stuff, he said was shot in August in isolation. And then production started in earnest the beginning of September.
Yeah.
We were thinking that he shot all the isolated stuff in September, and then 5 days in, 9/11 happened.
Yeah, he said the 1st of September.
Well, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Look, the point is, Trance. You saw Trance in theaters. You said 2013, had not seen it since.
Love Danny
10
Boyle
years.
so much. Rushed to the theater.
Yes.
To go see his latest oof. And I fucking loved it. I was like, wow, this is, because I was like, this is like a pulpy B movie, but done in the style of Danny Boyle. And I was like, I'm here for it.
And this is also like he had just made 2 more Oscar movies. I don't know how you feel about Slumdog in 127 Hours.
I haven't seen Slumdog since it was on theaters, and I loved it at the time.
Yeah.
And then 127 I enjoyed.
But it does feel like him being like, let me get nasty again.
It is a trashy movie in every sense.
Right.
So trashy.
After 2 movies that are all like the human spirit and love conquering all. Yeah.
This is like, no, we're going to just be, I think like watching it again, I was like, I don't love it, but I still really enjoyed how batshit it was.
It's wild. It is wild. He asked not to be named because he doesn't want to speak ill of filmmakers. But a friend I knew told me that this was the only movie he had ever walked out of in theaters. And I wanted to know what was the moment that broke him, that made him walk out. And we were debating what it could be. And he said, I don't remember it super well, but I think it was a scene where Rosario Dawson says aloud, so you're telling me the only way to blank is if I seduce, have sex with him in his mind.
Oh, yeah.
Or something like that, which is early.
Yeah, it's, that's when I was like, I too would try to have sex with Vincent Cassel in any context. However,
my hands are tied here. I think.
I don't think
my only way out.
You would not go for the mental plane though, or you may just go more the straightforward.
Yeah, I might just say
not have like hypno sex.
Also, he very clearly is into her, and she knows. So it's like you can just be like, "Let's bang." But actually, watching it again, I realized that's actually supposed to be like the sincere romantic attachment of the film,
right?
But again, if she were actually just the main character of the movie.
Sure.
It would have been a much more interesting film, I think, and made a lot more sense.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I do think that is
confusing,
the ultimate flaw is
making her the main character only by the end works against the film dramatically.
Yeah. Well, and also, again, that happens at the end of Trance. Be warned, everyone.
Yeah. Oh, we're talking spoilers on Trance.
Having the ostensible main character kind of die off screen and be like,
yeah.
I don't think that's uninteresting.
Yeah.
But I do think you're going to have audience members walking out being like, so what the fuck was I? I do think that's why this movie got this weird bristly reaction. Like people were kind of mad at this movie.
Yeah, no, I'm a big Danny Boyle fan. I have seen most of his films in theaters. Pretty much all of them from 28 Days Later on, other than this and Trainspotting 2. And Trainspotting 2, I think I was getting my hair cut that day when it was playing. And
it was in theaters,
that one day. And then this, I just remember the response being so violently negative.
Yeah.
Not just people disliking it, being disappointed, people being like, fuck that movie.
Yeah.
That I kind of avoided it for 10 years.
Yes. People were mad at this movie. And yes.
Which I get it. I mean, this is a movie that almost feels spiteful to the audience.
Yeah, but
Do you
I don't
think so?
feel that way. Right?
I feel
No,
like
I don't
just,
think
like,
it's
fun
spiteful.
and really absurd.
Right.
Like it's really.
It feels to me a little bit like when I was trying to think of what the specific example of this is, and I couldn't pull it up, but I think there are a lot of these when like comedy sketches or like TV show episodes that parody con artist movies, where the joke is the amount of double crosses.
Yeah.
Where this is a movie where every 10 minutes they're like, okay, now we're going to change your perception. Actually, she was in league with him before this. And then 10 minutes later, they're like, he was the one getting one over on her.
Right. But there's
5
only 3
minutes before
characters.
that.
So they
Yes.
just kind of keep turning over and over and over.
But I think it's actually really straightforward. The thing that like is so like weird is the way that she's narrating the whole thing because she
Yes.
has to keep the deception going. So she's like, so I got confused watching it this time whether or not she honestly couldn't figure out where the painting was, or because in the beginning I was like, oh, she knows where it is. She just doesn't want to let these guys know.
Right.
And she's actually surprised that when he comes back to her because she looks like, oh shit. And then I was like, oh, she actually doesn't know where the fuck it is either.
Yeah.
But it was all very. It just sucks that all of her main character stuff happens in retrospect. Like it's all
Yes.
flashbacks. So it's not really. And then you're like, and he's abusive. And you're like, wait, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that I do think gets sprinkled in a little casually and then
Yeah.
just kind of. But this is the problem with Trance,
Mhm.
which I don't think it's.
You've
spiteful.
identified the one problem with Trance.
Yeah.
There's a little flaw in this one, but is that it for a movie like this to really work,
Sure.
it should be like the Usual Suspects thing where you're like, oh, I'm excited to rewatch it
Yes.
now,
Yeah.
knowing that he's Kaiser Soze and that's what's going on.
Right.
But I don't turn off Trance and go like, now I have to rewatch it knowing everything that I now know because I'm like, I barely understand what it is.
but we've talked about this on the podcast. I mean, certainly with like Sixth Sense because we've covered that. But just even anytime we're talking about twist movies, that like the most effective Hall of Fame twist movie is that people talk about that way, where you want to rewatch it immediately through different eyes. The secret is the movie works well on its own dramatically before you get to the twist.
Yeah.
Like it is
Yeah.
grabbing you on a different level.
Yeah.
It's not making you think when's the twist going to happen, when's the
Mhm.
rug pull going to happen, and then something recontextualizes it at the end. Whereas this is a movie where 10 minutes in, you're like, this movie's going to keep on fucking with me until the end, right?
Right.
Like, where does this ultimately
At a certain
land?
point, you throw up your hand. You're like,
Right.
okay, fine. What is it now? What is it now?
There was another special feature on the Blu-ray called Trance Untangled that feels very much like the paper insert in the Planet of the Apes DVD that explains the timeline of the Tim Burton Planet of the
That's
Apes,
so funny.
Sure.
where it is just a Cliff Notes version of all the events of the movie rearranged in chronological order.
But
It's
see,
a 10-minute
but it's not
supercut just so you
it's not
understand.
confusing at all because she explains
It's not.
literally everything. The confusing thing is, and this is where it's kind of absurd, is that like it all is based on hypnosis. So you're like, oh, anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Here's
Yeah.
the
Anything can
confusing
happen.
thing. You
Yeah.
bought this on Blu-ray?
I've
Griffin,
recently.
you don't need it.
He
on
does.
Blu-ray.
He needs it. He
No,
needs
he
it.
doesn't.
He needs it.
I'll be
No.
honest. I'll be honest. I bought it on iTunes. It had the special features.
Okay.
I have recently become a completist of trying to own every movie we've covered.
Oh, I see.
And
with that.
Trance.
I'm with that.
That's bad.
I like having the library. I like looking at the history
Me too.
of this thing we've built. But Trance,
thing of
I
ours.
believe, is out of print.
Yeah, a lot
was
of Boyle movies.
expensive.
A lot of Boyle movies are tough to watch on physical media.
Boyle has one of the worst like physical media records for a director of his stature, where there's like 4 movies of his that have never been released on Blu-ray,
Yep.
and a lot of them are out of print now. Most of them are bad
28 days.
editions.
I can't believe that
20
that is not
you can't
easily
rent on
accessible.
iTunes right now.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know,
I think it's a
You
music
have to talk
thing.
to someone.
but it was up 4 months ago.
It was, but
Yeah.
I do think there's something weird with that movie that maybe makes it more expensive.
He's just
or
got
something.
weird
Like,
distribution things going on, considering that most of his movies are at Fox.
how do you feel about physical media?
Physical media.
Like, do you buy a lot of
Mm.
Blu-rays?
No, I don't buy a single DVD or Blu-ray or anything.
Wow.
I do buy
Wow.
vinyls though.
There you go.
Um,
That's something.
Yeah.
But I
That's
am
a
going
similar
to
idea.
start buying physical media things I enjoy, like TV shows, since
Right.
It's all
these
getting
people are
yanked.
It's getting
crazy.
plucked away.
Yeah, it's very I guess I mean we don't have to go into a big existential philosophical exploration
We
of
can.
Never do
the
that
state
on
of
this show.
streaming
Okay.
and
It's
how
just
it's affected the industry.
Basically,
but
every other episode of our show.
Yeah, it just I found it very interesting, and it's also alarming that you can't buy 20 days later.
Yeah.
Like, on
Yes.
the internet.
Yeah. Beach and Millions have never been released in any format past DVD.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And I think maybe one other one I'm forgetting.
Yeah, there's a bunch that are
Life Less Ordinary has
Yes.
also only been on DVD.
DVD only.
What's the first one? Dead Man's Shoes?
It's called that's a good movie though. Shane Meadows. That's a Shane Meadows
Yes.
movie that I love. It's called Shallow Grave.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Same basic family, yeah.
Exactly.
Criterion put that out at least, so that's like
Okay.
preserved.
Criterion, bless them.
Yes.
I would say I was feeling some what to call it, Dead Man's Shoes again. Some Shallow Grave and Trance. Here's what I really
Both written by
enjoyed
the
about
same guy.
Trance and
Yes.
why I loved it when I first watched it. Okay, a couple things. I love the erotic thriller. I feel like it's a genre
yeah.
that needs to be reclaimed by women
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
you look back at all of them and you're like, oh, all those women were abused while making these films. Great. But I think it's an interesting space to explore
Yes.
all of that shit that we don't talk about in movies or in our culture, just like desire and how it fucks everyone up, or it doesn't. And I was like, oh, this is kind of an erotic thriller. It's not erotic enough, really, but like if you look at it through that lens, or you look at it through like it's a pulpy B movie thriller, but like done really well by a director,
Mhm.
then it's like, then you're like, oh, this is really fun. Like I wish they all kind of looked like this, because the plot itself is not really elevated at all
Yes.
in any way, shape, or form, but the style of it I thought was really great. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What did you think of James McAvoy's performance?
Look, we're gonna dig into this. I love James McAvoy.
And this was sort of in this moment when, well, I guess at this point he's pretty established.
Yeah.
Wanted is what, like 2008? Right?
It's weird that it felt like Wanted was like, okay, so this guy's going to have a really successful run as a leading man, probably in both blockbusters and in, art house films, whatever, serious movies. And then it's like he gets tied down to the X-Men thing, which I
Right.
think he's good in all of those.
He's
Yeah.
fine.
But it doesn't really do anything for him.
Yeah.
well,
like-
because that's a tough role.
Yeah.
Because, especially if you're not Patrick Stewart,
Yeah.
it's sort of like, okay.
First
well,
Class, I think he's really fun.
Yeah.
The more he
fun
has to
movie.
start playing Stewart, like as those movies progress, it's wild to think he did 4 of them.
He
4.
sure did. Yeah.
4.
There's 4 of them.
First Class, Days of Future Past, the one with
Apocalypse.
Oscar
Apocalypse.
Isaac.
Mhm.
Yes. And then Dark
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
You forget.
I didn't watch that one.
Oh, you didn't watch that one. You and
Yeah.
the rest of the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I couldn't abide by it.
But like by that
You couldn't
one.
have- but that's the one where Jennifer Lawrence says we need more. We should call it X-Women.
Yeah.
I was upset.
And the
That's
patriarchy
absolutely
fell
insane.
that
Do
day.
you remember?
Let me tell you why I
People
have
thought
beef
it was
with
an
Jennifer Lawrence.
earthquake, but it was
Trump
actually the
resigned.
seismic effect.
Of that, yeah. That's
been
like in
proven
Avengers
wrong.
Endgame when the women like appear for 2 seconds.
They do.
And it's like, that's what we're going to give you.
Nia, it's not 2 seconds. It's like 10 to 15 seconds.
Yeah.
I just think it's so disrespectful to spend 10 years basically ignoring women in your franchise. Except for like, obviously there's some really good ones, and the way like
Mhm.
Scarlett Johansson's character evolved, and the way Pepper Potts.
Just
what did
note
I say?
this in case
Love
you want to cut
Pepper
this
Potts.
out.
That's-
Yep.
is that
Pepper Potts, Gwen
That's right,
Paltrow's
Pepper
character.
Potts.
I should know these things.
Yeah.
Pepper Potts evolved, which I think was a lot had to do with Robert Downey Jr. being like, this character needs.
Yes, he was
Yeah.
the one who was like, "Can we make this a screwball thing where
Yeah,
we're
but-
We need to
actually
have, like, sexual
entangled?"
chemistry.
Yes,
Exactly,
yes.
because otherwise,
In the
like, what fuck?
dialogue.
Which is
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
those movies are good.
Exactly. I
Yes.
completely agree,
Yes.
except for 2. But anyway,
Yes.
Well, 2 is a
but
mess.
but even if you compare the way they introduce Scarlett Johansson in Iron Man 2, where they're like, "Ooh, sexy lady,"
she's got thighs.
Yes.
yeah,
and
and
she'll
it's, like,
use them.
so insane in very 2010, whenever that came out.
Yes.
And then her in Endgame, it's like a lot of work has been done, but it's like, don't give me this little boop in your movie.
Well, but Nia,
They'll handle
imagine,
it. They can get the task done.
Yeah,
Women.
it makes me upset.
Nia, imagine
And Nia,
instead of
just to be clear, Nia,
15
this movie's
seconds.
coming out. This episode's coming out 3 months before your Marvel movie.
Yeah.
So
I
if you
know.
want to cut
Yeah.
that out, you just
I
let
know,
us know.
no, it's fine. No, I've said this to them.
imagine that instead of 15 seconds of seeing all of them appear on screen looking powerful in action poses, Jennifer Lawrence just turns to a guy and says, "We should call them X-Women," and walks out the room. But
really
also
upset.
she says it and then kind of holds for applause and then
Right.
goes, the door's that
And
way.
McAvoy's like, I mean,
Sure.
Also, it's like it's.
We got
so
2 on the team?
dumb. It's so sad. Yeah, it's so silly. I was gonna say my beef with Jennifer Lawrence, not with her, but like with what happened to Mystique.
Yeah.
Mystique after the first movie,
Yeah.
would be blue the entire time.
Yes.
Her whole thing,
Yeah, her
that
whole thing is
she
to never
gonna
be
be who
blue.
she is.
Yes.
I know.
Why is this girl walking around with this 80s
Because
curly
she
blonde hair?
didn't like being in the makeup.
know,
She's
chair.
which-
annoying.
It's
He's
one of those.
I'm like,
it works so against the character arc, though.
It's amazing, but that tells you a lot about like how at that level actors and movies at the level they're just like, oh, okay. Whatever.
As an X-Men nerd, I just hate that Mystique is like an unambiguous hero in those movies anyway. It just drives me crazy. 100%. And like by the final one, she's like, all right, X-Men, you're over there. Come on, this is called a pincer movement.
On what planet is Mystique going to be leading the X-Men?
She's not supposed to be like that. She's supposed to wear a crazy white dress with skulls on it. She's supposed to be assassinating mid-level political figures.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's like now she's the biggest star in the world. She has to be the hero of this franchise.
What happened. It's
Days of Future Past is also so wild because you see they have to like construct the plot around like you're on a secret spy mission by yourself. And it's like because we have Jennifer Lawrence for 6 weeks, so we need to shoot her own plot line.
Right. What do you think of James McAvoy's performance in the film?
This is what I was going to say.
Because it was a loaded question.
I like McAvoy a lot, and I think few people with his ability have had such bad luck in picking the right projects.
But I think about this sometimes with actors who just have bad taste. And I'm not saying he has bad taste.
It's a question.
But because I think he actually, in terms of like when I watch him in bad movies, his level of commitment is insane. And also his tone is usually where the movie's tone should actually be.
I would say he's usually good at judging that. And he's willing to go big or silly as required, which I've always liked about him.
Yeah. Like he was great when he hosted SNL.
Sure.
And a lot of his choices... See, sometimes I go, does he have bad taste, right? And then other times I go, on paper, almost all of these seem like good decisions.
Yeah, 100%.
Does he just have bad luck? This is on the lower end of the McAvoy leading performances for me, but I wonder how much of that is just like, is this character kind of unplayable?
Yes.
Yes, that's probably.
Yeah.
I read a thing where he said he read the script and 10, 15 pages in, he was like, I don't want to play this guy. He's a victim. There's nothing active to play here. He doesn't remember who he is. He's so passive.
The whole time he's just going, what happened to me? What's going on? Yeah,
right. Yeah. And then he's like, but I kept reading it because it was Danny and I wanted to work with him. And then like 20 pages in, I was like, oh, this guy's more complicated. I'm kind of intrigued. And it's like he becomes more complicated and that he becomes one of the most loathsome people in the world.
Right.
But it's not even like fun at a scale of like mustache twirling villainy. He's just kind of unpleasant.
That part happens so late.
So late.
But then he gets really gross. I think by the time, when he, what did I write? When he jumps onto the ledge on the roof, I was like, oh, is this supposed to tell me that he's an abuser or something? Like, is this supposed to tell me he's a crazy man?
It goes from him being a passive blank to just being kind of like gross and annoying to then being horrendous. Sweaty.
But I think Danny knew exactly what he was doing. I just think maybe I just hated him so much. But I mean, I couldn't even hate him because I was just like, I kind of ignored him at this point.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, I just want Rosario and Vincent to be together.
You zone out on him and start to just be like, oh, like Vincent Cassel is the secret second lead here. That's sort of interesting. But I would say this movie begins with the suggestion that James McAvoy is a clever clogs who's up to something.
Yes.
And then as the movie goes on, you're sort of like, oh, he wasn't?
This guy,
Genuinely.
Yeah.
Like you keep expecting him to be like, and that's why I staged all of this. And like, that's what you were seeing happen. And then of course the ultimate twist is.
Did you see that it was supposed to be Fassbender until like very late in the game playing the Cassel parts?
Oh, well.
Playing the Cassel part, really?
Yeah. And it's like, oh, I could see they obviously had a well-established sort of like, they're good rivals on screen.
Well, Professor and Magneto, they represent the two.
I can't imagine anyone but.
Well, that's the thing. Cassel, you're just so like, I don't want to watch fucking this McAvoy guy. Like, it just feels like they're in different movies in a way where Cassel's movie is a lot more enjoyable.
Vincent Cassel.
Yes.
Is the best actor alive at playing someone who you always think could kill you.
Yes.
But you are always attracted to and also always think he'd be ready to throw down. Yes.
Sure, yeah.
Not just that you want to have sex.
No, you want to have sex with
him. But then if you're like, hey, can we have sex? You'd be like, of course, yes.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm not going to kill you.
Right.
And you're like, I'll take my chances. Yeah.
He has the most bizarre energy. I mean, his face looks like a knife.
4'8"?
Yes.
Can you crawl into like between walls?
He's taller.
I actually have no idea. But you know what I mean? He has this kind of weird squirrely energy that I love, but then he also does project like so much intensity and strength.
Yeah.
He's such a great. Anytime any director uses him, I'm like, well, you're smart.
Yeah,
I also just think when he does English language films, there's this odd comic energy on top of it.
He's 6'2".
Yeah,
wow.
That's fucking nuts.
He's married to a literal fucking supermodel.
Well,
insane. Have you seen these two, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's the hottest person I've ever seen. But also, she's like 25.
married
I'm like,
to Monica
everyone were like, I
Bellucci.
know, it's
Like, I
absolutely
mean,
insane.
I know.
But that's what I love about him. You're like, if you just look at him out of context, you're like, okay. But then as soon as he like starts moving and doing things, you're like, and of course.
Such an interesting guy.
Well,
He's
we should acknowledge he is l'enfant de Nepo.
Who are his parents?
His father was a famous French actor who had like an entirely different vibe than
Gerard
him.
Depardieu? I'm kidding.
Why am I forgetting his first name? Pierre Cassel?
I think it's David Cassel. Let me look it up. Oh, no, Jean-Pierre Cassel.
Thank you.
Who looks like a French actor.
Yes, but
Here's what he looks like.
Oh, bless.
He looks like a guy in a French movie who'd be like, and you'd be like, this is a French actor.
He plays like the porter in Murder on the Orient Express.
Okay.
He did a couple of Hollywood films, but he was a huge French star, but was sort of a very genial, warm presence on screen. And I think Vincent Cassel's talked about like there was a bit of a Kirk Douglas, Michael Douglas thing. Where he's like, my father's shadow looms so large in French cinema that I have to be the opposite of his persona. And like him coming out with La Haine was being like, I'm fucking of my generation.
Yeah.
I'm scary. I'm violent.
Yeah.
You know?
Best decision he made.
Yeah. But then whenever he does American films, and I think, or at least English language films, and he speaks well.
Yeah.
But something about him speaking in English makes him feel like a cartoon version of a French person.
Really? I disagree.
I don't say this in a bad way. I think there's this odd energy he has. Like, obviously, Soderbergh weaponized it comedically for the Ocean's movies.
Him doing capoeira for no reason.
Yes. But then, like, Black Swan.
I think that's like one of the funniest jokes in a movie ever.
Incredible.
It's when he does the dance in Ocean's 12. It's so
like
funny.
Black Swan, Eastern Promises, this.
He's incredible in Eastern Promises.
So good. I have to watch that again.
The best.
Man.
The best.
Down, I'll forget.
So good.
Do you want to know something else about him? He is the voice of the Dennis Leary character in Ice Age in France.
That rolls.
I love this.
You like that? I feel like I knew you'd like that.
Yeah, that's cool. I really like because now every Disney Plus movie ends with 15 minutes of credits on who the dubbing voices were in every country.
Right.
I always watch through that to see if I can recognize like who's the equivalent star in which country. I know. I mean, French comedians I tend to know better than the other ones. What was I going to say? About
talking
him.
about his
also
roles.
the voice of Robin Hood and Shrek.
That's right, Monsieur Hood.
Maybe that's why I
gosh,
think he sounds like a cartoon version of a French person.
That's so funny.
Because that is just him playing into the stereotype.
And now he's playing Julius Caesar in the new Asterix movie. So
yes,
pretty exciting. You know Asterix, the French cartoon character?
It's like the MCU of France, the biggest live-action film franchise.
He's playing Julius Caesar in the latest one. And Marion Cotillard playing Cleopatra. It's an all-star cast.
Guillaume Canet directing and playing Asterix.
That's right.
Wait, what?
Guillaume Canet, the French actor. You know what? We're way down a rabbit hole.
We're down the rabbit hole we want to be in because it's the Vincent Cassel rabbit hole.
I'm just saying, Nia, maybe pitch for the next Asterix movie.
We'll bring him in. We could bring him in.
These franchises. Yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny.
All right, everyone shut up. It's me, David Sims, and I am here to talk about how when it comes to hiring, you need to trust your gut. But what if you could give your gut some help? And I'm not talking about like Yakult or whatever. It's the probiotic drink that's supposedly good for your gut. When you want to find top talent fast, you need Indeed, okay? Indeed is the hiring platform you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. You can find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. Hate waiting? Indeed's U.S. data shows over 80% of U.S. Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job, because they've got this thing called Instant Match that it makes it 3 times more likely the candidates are going to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in search, according to U.S. Indeed data. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description, and you can invite them to apply right away. Indeed does the hard work for you. Sponsor a job, and boom. Instant Match shows you candidates whose resumes on Indeed fit your job description immediately after you post. With Instant Match, you can start hiring fast. So, join over 3 million businesses worldwide using Indeed to hire great talent fast. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/check to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/check. Indeed.com/check. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
David, can we get into the dossier? Because I had no idea where this movie came from.
And it does feel, but that's of course part of the Danny Boyle magic, because I feel like he does always resist what I feel like would be the obvious path after a success.
Yeah.
Or a failure.
Yeah,
indeed. And he does resist safe choices.
Yes.
And I do think that's to his credit. It just doesn't always.
Wait, what did he do after this?
The movie he made after this was Steve Jobs.
Okay.
Which I think is an incredible film. That is a safer choice in a way, although that was such a complicated, cursed project.
That's what you'd
scary
expect
to take on.
An Oscar favorite in theory to do.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so Slumdog Millionaire, gigantic success, right? He can make whatever he wants. He's single-mindedly, we must make 127 hours. So that's what he does. After that, the first thing he does is the Frankenstein production at the National Theater, which you can watch.
So good.
Which of course is where he meets James McAvoy, right?
McAvoy and Johnny Lee Miller switching roles every other night between Frankenstein.
Benedict Cumberbatch is in that.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
It's Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller, right?
Oh, it isn't. Yeah. No,
it's
I'm
not
sorry.
McAvoy.
I always forget James McAvoy played Frankenstein in the other Frankenstein movie
exactly.
with Daniel Radcliffe.
Victor Frankenstein.
I'm sorry. I always it's Cumberbatch and Johnny.
Yeah, I remember watching both
James
versions.
McAvoy.
Yeah. Johnny Lee Miller's really good in that.
Johnny Lee Miller rules.
He was best as both, actually. Frankenstein and the Monster, which I was like, ooh, interesting.
Doctor Strange.
Boyle, one of those guys who Boyle is one of the only people who seems to totally understand how to use him.
But have you ever watched Elementary? Speaking of Sherlock Holmes,
absolutely,
who Benedict Cumberbatch also played. He's also secretly, you're like, he's great at this.
He's really
did fucking 87 seasons.
A zillion seasons.
Yeah, so many.
Okay. Then, of course, he is asked to direct the opening ceremony of the London Olympics.
Also great.
A masterpiece, which we will be covering on this podcast.
And he said he wanted.
Really? That's amazing.
On the Patreon. Yes. Yeah.
He wanted to set Trance in New York, and the only reason he didn't is because basically the Olympics was his day job.
Oh, wow.
He needed to be
That's interesting, huh?
Which is, that's a scary gig.
Yeah.
And you're following up the Zhang Yimou Olympics. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But that's not an easy thing to take on. But he was apparently just absolutely. I live in East London. I can't wait to do it. We'll talk about that. And he really liked doing the Frankenstein thing. The Frankenstein thing is very cool. Is that kind of like Cumberbatch right when Sherlock is hot? It's like 2010.
Yeah.
That's when Cumberbatch is kind of new and exciting. And
everyone's trying to figure out how far can this guy go? What can we do with him? But he, I think had just started to break out in terms of the leading man of his generation.
And so he wants to take on a film project after Frankenstein is done, before the Olympics. So it is Trance, and he has to make it in England, as you say.
And the deal also was he shot the entirety of this movie and then had the agreement, I need to take 6 months off before I start post-production to finish the Olympics.
Right.
So the movie was filmed, kept on a hard drive, Olympics finished, 6 months later he goes into the editing room.
Right, because it doesn't come out till 2013.
Can you imagine? Because I like to take 2 weeks off and pretend I didn't shoot a movie and then look at all the footage. 6 months, though.
That seems therapeutic.
It's the best. Because I think you can contractually get a week off, and I'm like, I'll take it. But I genuinely can't imagine 6 months.
Do you think it would be better, 6 months, and then you come back to it, and it's wow, I don't even remember this?
Yeah. I think the best time to take a break, though, would be in the middle of shooting. Not for 6 months, Jesus.
Yeah.
Move on with our lives. But just, but no, I think so. Because then you really get to, fresh eyes.
Yeah. The first episode you did with us was Castaway, and you said the reason I'm obsessed with this movie is the idea that he made another movie in between, that there's this whole break.
And also, I love that movie.
That movie's incredible. Yeah. But yes, okay, so he's got to find a London thing that he can shoot around his Olympics obligations. Yeah.
This script had been sent to him and John Hodge and Andrew McDonald, his writer and his producer, when they made Shallow Grave.
Yes.
This guy, Joe Ahern, and they liked the idea, but the Joe Ahern was like, I want to direct it, though. And they were like, this is a complicated script for you to be directing as your first script. But okay. And he went off and he made a TV movie of it, which exists.
This movie is
I've never seen
has
it.
the secret heat narrative of like there is a TV version of this with a different cast in 2001.
That is like, I mean,
I was searching high and low for it, could not find any way to watch it.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Here's the but it's one of those things where I looked it up and like Phil Davis, I know.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I don't even really know the cast here. Like, this is not a big TV
looks
movie.
like the version that you would just see on TV all the time.
LA Takedown.
Yes.
And,
Have you ever seen clips from LA Takedown?
No, what's that?
Michael Mann had written the script for Heat,
Mm-hmm.
wanted to make it early in his career, couldn't get it made, and then made it as a TV movie with actors who are not Robert De Niro and Al Pacino.
And it's called LA Takedown?
It's called LA Takedown. It aired on television, and then like 10, 15 years later, he was like, you know what? I'm ready to make this properly. And you watch, it's the same thing.
It's the same script.
But obviously he's got a lower budget. You know, his craft had evolved by the time he makes Heat, but also you're just watching like the coffee shop scene and going like, wow, movie stars are really, really impactful.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to these actors who are all solid in this.
Yeah.
But like you look at the poster for the TV movie Trance and it feels like the same thing where it's like, we can ding like a McAvoy performance, but there still is an energy he has.
Yeah.
That carries you through a movie like
100%.
this.
Yeah. I mean, I think the casting was really good actually and for Trance. Like Danny Sapani, who I fucking love, like all the people mentioned, those other two.
I could not believe there was a prior version of this and that Boyle basically comes back around to him and says, I never forgot about that script. Would you let me take a crack at it?
Essentially, they loved the premise and they never forgot about it. And so he gets John Hodge, who he has not worked with since since The Beach.
And
so
13 years at that point.
Right. And says, can we work on that again? He says that the movies are not that comparable. Like he says, if you watch the TV movie, there's a couple things that are the same, but like it's not like LA
Takedown.
Right. Scene for scene or whatever. And they hadn't worked together. Apparently it was great to work with him. Joe Ahern had nothing to do with the movie. He gets the credit for the story, but that's it.
Okay.
And he loved the idea of amnesia because you can create worlds where you're not sure whether you're seeing is real or not. So he likes Memento. He likes Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. He likes Nicholas Roeg movies.
Right.
Who's
I remember when Inception was announced. Christopher Nolan's pitch was, it is a thriller that takes place in the architecture of the mind. And I was like, the fuck does that mean? You see Inception, that is basically the correct way to describe
architecture
that.
Is the word, yeah.
But it feels like it falls in that category of like a movie in the architecture of the mind.
Yes.
Interested in
but so much more metaphorically than
vague ideas of how a brain might work.
Yeah.
And then, as you say, he does repeat this over and over that he likes that there's a woman in the engine room, is how he puts it. That he wanted her
Part
to
of the
be
movie.
the driving force of the film. Go ahead.
I feel so she's like he
has two daughters, Danny Boyle, father of daughters.
Father of daughters. He also
Girl
dated
dad.
Rosario Dawson after this movie.
Yep.
Yeah, bless
She
them.
has the most, because she went from Danny Boyle to Cory Booker, to Eric Andre to Cory Booker, I believe, was her incredible dating history at this time.
I think it was Booker and then Andre, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
No, I think it was Andre then Booker.
Really?
I think so.
Yeah, because Booker she was with until very
Why do we know
recently.
this? Is so sad.
I know.
But
Well, my
initial
wife
point was
once was at a spa in Atlanta, and Cory Booker and Rosario Dawson walked in.
obsessed. Are they still together?
They just broke up, I think.
Oh,
Anyway,
that's
carry
sad.
on.
Oh no. Okay, so she's like, "Hi, I'm Rosario Dawson. I'm in the movie." And then halfway through, she's like, "He's sexually obsessed with me." Wait, there are a couple moments where, like, when later in the movie, she's talking about their affair. She was like, "It was a highly sexual relationship," and then he got to Vincent Cassel being like, "Oh,
Yeah.
like gurgle, I'm like bleeding from the mouth."
Doesn't like
And
it.
I was like, "What? Like, what is that? Why do you?" Anyway, so she's like, "He's sexually obsessed with me. I have to get him to like want me, and then I'll have sex with him, and he'll tell me what the painting is." And I was like, "This logic literally makes no sense." And I guess you could say, well, she's trying to hide the fact that they had a relationship before, blah, blah, blah. They go on the date, and then he's like, "I don't want to have sex with you." And she's like, "Weird." And Vincent's like, "Why?" And she's like, "Well, it's because of you." And then they have sex. And I'm like, what? The logic isn't logicking.
Yeah.
And then she immediately goes to see Homeboy, James McAvoy. And then she shaves her vag
She sure
because
does.
she knows what
And
he
he starts
wants.
sobbing.
And he literally is crying.
Yes.
And I'm like, has this man never seen a vagina?
Crying just looking at it.
I was like, this is spiritual. And then we don't show them having sex. And then he's naked. Incredibly naked.
Right, you see him just sort of sitting
Sitting there
studiously,
naked.
cupping his dick and balls in his hand,
Correct.
sitting
And
on
then
the
it
edge of
turns
a
out
bed.
He was hypnotized and imagining this whole pew thing with him shooting everyone, and
And Vincent Cassel's head is blown off and talking
Yeah.
to him and all this.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, this energy here
Uh-huh.
actually should be in the entire film.
So you like that absolute,
I
like,
think it's-
hard to track mania of
I
that?
think
Like,
if you committed to that,
Mhm.
there is a logic you could have threaded through from the beginning. Like if the rules were more set up. I mean, that's the part in this movie where you're like, what and why? And none of this makes sense.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you start out and this guy has like issues and he doesn't know what's real and what's not real, you can actually thread like you actually like that whole thing about like hating the audience. You can actually just set up a universe where you're like, oh, this is what's happening and this is why.
Yeah,
Like,
I also I love movies that take place all in someone's mind as long as that is part of the upfront setup rather than the twist at the end. When it's a rug pull, it feels like you're sort of selling out the movie.
Yeah.
But things like Eternal Sunshine, Insomnia, whatever, or not Insomnia, Inception. Yes. The Cell's a great example, but things like that where you're like, we're going to be
love
able
The
to
Cell.
engage in crazy
Cell's
dream
sick.
I haven't seen it
logic
since I
and
was,
like
9.
unbridled id and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
I don't think you
because-
should have seen it when you were 9. That
I
movie's
was watching a lot of
disturbing.
stuff. I watched HBO all day. I was a latchkey kid all day, every day. HBO.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I will say this, Griff.
Yes.
Sort of speaking to like the the swervy aspect, or this is an interesting quote from him. He says,
Mhm.
having done Slumdog and 127 Hours, which were award season films, as well as the Olympics, we're aware of the danger that you get locked into these aspirational redemptive movies. And we have a history of another delicious kind of filmmaking, which is a bit more evil and the characters are not what they seem. So I feel like for Trance, he's off making the Olympics, which is like the things that Britain has accomplished, socialized medicine, like we're all in it together. And so this is his little nasty side project.
Right. This is the receptacle for him to place all of his cynicism. Yeah.
But the movie has nothing to say, does it?
Trance?
France? Tell me more.
What does Trance have to say?
I don't
They talk
think
about
so.
greed. They have a little
Right.
greed quote.
I do think this is one of those movies where it's about the puzzle box.
Yeah, I don't know that Trance has a lot to say about anything.
If it has anything to say,
Struggling to fish a theme out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It says stuff
No.
about art.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
It says stuff
what
about
does it say about
pubes.
art, Ben?
It's expensive.
It's fucking
very
expensive.
expensive. It does.
Yeah.
It in fact tells you that directly.
Oh, they do tell you that no piece of artwork is worth a life.
No.
Yeah.
No podcast is worth a life.
Yeah.
This is a public service announcement. Manscaped now has beard products and is going even further with their brand new Weed Whacker 2.0. Go ahead, tell the world the leaders in below the waist grooming are traveling north of your South Pole with their revolutionary grooming products. The new Weed Whacker 2.0 and their new beard line confirms they have all the best tools for your hygiene toolbox. Time to upgrade your game by going to manscaped.com and using our code CHECK for 20% off plus free shipping. Look, I've used Manscaped for a while. They've got, very nice trimmer, wipes, oils, balms, things like that for your downstairs area. But now they are branching out into regular old beard trimming. And that is something I desperately need all the time because I have a beard that is always getting very thick and annoying and sort of tufty. And I need something like the Beard Hedger, which they have a whole pro kit. It's an ultimate package. It makes it easier than ever to craft your signature look. You've got the cordless electric Beard Hedger, which is tough on hair, smooth on your face, leading to single stroke efficiency that brings satisfaction one stroke at a time. And it has this rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths all in one guard. So you don't have to have all these add-ons in a messy drawer that you're swapping in and out, depending on how much you want to trim your beard back. Pro Kit also comes with all these dermatologist-tested formulations for your post-trim care. They got beard shampoo, they got conditioner, they got beard oil, they got beard balm that you can moisturize, style, shimmer your new beard. Plus 3 free gifts, a beard brush, comb, and scissors, okay? The brand new Weed Whacker 2.0, however, that's got improved blades, skin-safe technology with no tugging guarantee. It's never been so painless to mind your manholes. So you got to try the Performance Package 4.0 for the full body grooming experience, okay? That comes with the Weed Whacker 2.0. All the other below the waist grooming products Manscaped is known for. So get 20% off and free shipping with our code CHECK at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use our code CHECK. Always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
What a fucking movie. Okay, that's basically the setup, right?
That's the setup for how they made the film. Obviously, you got James McAvoy, who wanted to work with Danny Boyle.
Mm-hmm.
As you say, the screenplay didn't really grab him, but he got into the twistiness of it, I suppose. And where is he in his career? I guess he's
made 2
he's made 1 X-Men.
Okay.
And Days of Future Past is coming out next year.
Okay.
He had been mired in that awful, apologies if you know the filmmaker, Disappearance of Eleanor Rigby project. People forget about that one.
That was a Harvey Weinstein thing, right?
It was.
3.
There's
His, hers,
3.
theirs.
There's his, hers, theirs. That's it,
Jesus.
I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I may have seen 2 of them. Anyway. But like he's a funny guy in that like he had been kind of floating around for years. I think people forget that he's in Children of Dune, the Sci-Fi Channel miniseries.
Yes. Obviously, he's Mr. Tumnus.
Well, that's later.
Can I tell you something about that? I was watching when I don't know, that was on TV. I was really young. My grandma, who's a Jehovah's Witness, walked into the room and she saw Mr. Tumnus and she goes, "What are you watching?" And I was like, "Oh, it's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe." And she's like, "This is demonic."
Which she's right, even though it is an explicitly Christian work of art.
Yeah. It was very, it was hilarious.
That's really funny.
Yeah, bless her. Love you,
I first encountered him in, he is in White Teeth, the miniseries of White Teeth, but in State of Play and then Shameless, the British Shameless.
Oh, sure.
It was one of those things where it was like, as a British TV watcher, you're like, oh, this guy's everywhere. Like this guy is suddenly popping up everywhere.
And then Last King of Scotland is the first movie I remember sort of like, I mean, obviously, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but Last King of Scotland's the one I remember him sort of standing out as
Correct.
A serious leading man.
Because
that was 2006.
Yeah. So in 2004, he does a movie called Inside I'm Dancing, in which he plays a paraplegic, which is one of those like, oh no, hyper committed performances.
Sure.
It's not great. It was called Rory O'Shea Was Here in America.
Oh yes, I remember that
Carey's in
title.
it.
Yes.
And then the next year he did Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And even though he played a magical faun, I think that he succeeded because everyone came out of that movie being like, Mr. Tumnus pretty hot.
Yeah.
Kind of horny for Tumnus.
Yeah.
Like they came out of that children's film.
Right.
About children fighting a witch, being like, but those first 20 minutes with the fawn, I was kind of feeling the fawn.
He is like pretty fucking captivating.
He's really
in that
charming
movie.
in it.
Yeah.
And then Last King of Scotland, obviously, he's like the off-ball guy, that's Forrest Whitaker doing everything, but he is good.
And that's one of those examples of like he is the lead of that movie. Like Forrest Whitaker's performance is so huge that it basically got willed into him winning a Best Lead Actor Oscar. But like McAvoy has 4 times the screen time that Whitaker does, and got a little bit ignored because
which I think that was tactical personally, because I feel like that was like in the midst of people being like, why is every movie that's about a black person or a significant black character
absolutely
have to be told through the eyes of a white person?
Yeah.
And
but
I would have gladly been like, it's all Forrest, bye.
It's a yeoman's work performance because he knows he's gonna get steamrolled by the guy playing the most interesting character of the world. Yeah.
Kerry Washington popped in that movie too.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And then he does a few like little British movies. He did Starter for 10. He did Becoming Jane. Remember
Starter for 10, good.
Starter for 10, a great book. And solid movie. Yeah. And University Challenge. It's about University Challenge, my favorite TV show.
Okay.
And then of course Atonement, which he's incredible in.
Right.
And that's a movie that's like stacked with good performances.
Yes.
And it's this like very, complex 3 storyline film.
And was presented as like, this is going to be the Oscar juggernaut. Like Joe Wright is ready. This is going to be the English Patient or some shit.
It does get, plenty of Oscar nominations. It wasn't quite the juggernaut they wanted it to be.
No, and I don't think it totally made him in the way people thought this is going to elevate. This is going to be his Ray Fiennes moment.
His sex scene with
Keira
Keira Knightley in that movie is like
iconic.
So iconic and hot.
Iconic.
And I feel like even more so now that we don't get enough sex scenes in movies, like people go back to that one being like, God damn.
Yeah.
That's also Benedict's little pop-off movie too.
Yeah. Juno Temple.
Allen. Yeah, watch out.
Saoirse. So many people popping that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the next year he had Wanted.
Vanessa Redgrave. I think that was like her first big movie.
Was she in that one?
Yeah. Go on.
Wanted. Big hit.
Right.
Out of to somewhat surprising hit.
But let's say a little similar to the Last King of Scotland thing, where it's like
he's the lead,
he is the lead, but Jolie is the one who everyone is interested in.
Well, his energy is a little sub in a way.
A little. He's like screaming and crying and sweating that whole movie.
Yeah,
what are you doing to me? Like, like dragging him around.
Yeah, Chris Pratt is the fucking guy who fucks his girlfriend in that movie. Like and this is before his glow up, so it's very interesting.
Chubby Pratt. Yeah.
Oh, that's not what I meant.
But
as a chubby guy, I miss Chubby Pratt.
Yeah, he took himself less seriously.
I do think there's something to McAvoy often takes these roles where someone else is allowed to steal the movie from him. Like Split, you're like, why is it taking it this long for you to feel comfortable doing like the main dance?
I think Split is his movie.
That's
yes.
That's the one where you were like, yes.
Yeah.
And I actually felt like I was like, M. Night, you're back. You know, sort of
Split is the movie, as you say, Griff, where you're like, okay, he finally got handed like
you get to play the color
exactly all
versus
the fun.
You just sort of doing the plot framework.
And as you say, Nia, where he's like, yeah, I get the tone here. I'm gonna fill it. I'm gonna go I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
I feel like part of what you're talking about, Griff, is probably that Wanted is getting passed around and bigger stars than him are like, well, I don't want to play this guy.
Right.
Because this guy's fucking crying the whole time.
Right.
And McAvoy's like, well, I'll take a shot.
Right. And we got two humongous stars playing the supporting roles. We don't need a money person in the lead role. We just need a solid actor.
But he's still like, he'll do Atomic Blonde. He'll do movies where like you're kind of the second lead. You're kind of, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, yeah. He will do that still.
The X-Men thing is so interesting to me too, because I think he's really good in First Class, where the whole thing is, he's sort of this like cad and this leech. And it's like, this is so different than the Patrick Stewart Professor X. There's nothing stately about this guy. It's surprising. He's got fun energy in it. And then as the movies go on, they're like, can you just sort of like do a Patrick Stewart impression? We're going to shave your head. But he starts out like he's the fun, funny one.
Does he get shot in the spine in the first movie?
First movie.
Yes, and then they do this bit where it's like he can use his brain to walk again, but if he does it, then he can't. His powers don't apply in other places.
I just disagree with that fully. I think that's absolutely ridiculous.
Right. So the second movie,
absolutely ridiculous.
He's like walking around a bunch, but then he can't read people's minds, and they're like, you have to make a choice. It's either the chair
or your powers.
Yeah.
Also, okay, let's think about that logically though. If he can use his mind to walk again, that means he's lifting himself up with his mind.
Yes.
Which means that when he's walking, his feet, he's not using any muscle.
He's puppeteering. His legs would be, he'd have weird Jake Sully legs.
But also, Professor X is not a telekinetic mutant. He's a telepath for crying out loud.
No.
Don't point it. No, it's fine.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I'm saying that's why it never made sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. You're right.
Rosario Dawson got this role. Scarlett Johansson was supposedly considered. That feels like something she would like eventually just say no to, right? It
feels like match point retread.
Zoe Saldana, who I feel like is probably pretty like,
this is 4 years after Avatar Star Trek.
Yeah,
is this a Colombiana year? This is the year Colombiana came out.
Colombiana underrated.
I would agree.
It's 2011 is Colombiana.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Boyle.
We get to do full frontal nudity and shave your vag. That's a hard. That's a, like. It's
I
a lot
wonder.
to ask a woman.
Right, because it's the way this film is made, and Danny Boyle as a director. I don't see there being any workarounds of just like, if you're doing this, you have to do this in close up.
Yes, it's so funny because in one way you're like, this comes out of nowhere and is insane, but in another way you're like, I guess you would have to, in the first meeting with the actress, be like, so your shaved vagina
this is non-negotiable.
Is a pivotal point.
Right.
He had auditioned Rosario for a different movie. He doesn't say what, so he knew her.
Interesting.
So he really liked her.
Sunshine, maybe?
Maybe. That makes
sense. I think what else she could have fit into even.
Else
Sunshine makes sense.
Right.
Maybe the beach. Well, but she's been around forever.
Yeah, right. But she's in Kids, which I can't. I've never watched. I can't do it. I tried to watch the first scene. I was like, no.
Kids is rough.
I can't. I'm just like, I can't.
Nia, we're New York City kids. We lived it. We don't need to watch it.
Exactly my point. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He decides that it's fine that there's an American in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
She's different. She talks differently. He's
Sure.
just kind of like, I don't know, that works.
Yeah,
which
look,
is good.
that
I like that he
find
does
very
that.
refreshing.
Yeah.
I love anytime a movie has a character with an accent different than the place the movie's set, and it doesn't explain it at all. Because anytime there's a scene where it's like, well, and then I relocated here because I'm like, you don't need to tell me.
The world is a big
We meet
globalization.
people who have different accents all the time.
Exactly. Especially in London, Jesus.
We don't go, what's your fucking backstory?
And as he says here, as I was just saying, I'm correct. When we met people and talked to people for the part, we were very clear that it was non-negotiable. The nudity, it's the biggest plot point of the movie. So he said, I don't know.
I just love that he was like, I need to show that I respect women, that I think they're fully
they got
well-rounded
the engine
people.
of this movie.
And the movie I'm going to do that in, she has to show her bare puss.
Several times.
Non-negotiable, bitch.
Yeah.
And then sex has to be central to what drives the,
Right.
I'm like, I mean, I'm not anti it, but I think it's a funny, like,
I do too.
place to
I'm
get to.
also not anti it, and I think it's like fine. And like you say, I miss the erotic thriller, but it is just
her character is so bizarre. I like Rosario a lot. We were just talking about, I mean, it will have come out by now, but we were doing the Men in Black movies on Patreon. So we were talking about Men in Black 2, a very thankless role, but a role that I think was kind of positioned as like, holy shit, she's going to be the female lead in the Men in Black sequel. This is going to like blow her up. And we were saying like, for having a really good career, she doesn't really have like her defining parts. She feels like someone who everyone always respects, but she's maybe never gotten the thing that feels like the perfect fit for her. But
Daredevil, seasons 1
this is the thing. I think she's incredibly good in Daredevil.
Yeah, she's
kind of like the best performance in any of those Marvel Netflix shows.
She's really good in them.
But like, I think she has this very grounded, sensitive quality. In a show like that, you're like, she brings this down to earth. She makes it feel real and tangible. It's kind of odd to cast her as like a film noir siren, because that is so different than her vibe, I think, despite her obviously being very like sexy.
But I think that was the thing that they needed for that role.
Right. They need her to be initially warm and sort of like, I'm here to help.
Her therapy session, she's really good. Yes.
Yes, you actually have to.
What I think really was amazing in this film, when her boobs come out, I was like, they are huge. And you don't notice that until that moment.
Yes.
And I'm like, that is brilliant.
That's range.
Because
the way they've styled her to be like
so
kind
it really,
of nondescript
I feel like,
looking
I mean, she's absolutely stunning anyway, but I think the way that they very consciously were like, because even after that moment, they don't make her sexier, like she's always, I mean, her hair is down now, whatever, but like
she's always presented as like a professional.
Exactly. And there's never any like, oh, my bra strap's
There's no
out.
femme fatale.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, so
she's really good in the therapy scenes. I mean, that's like her energy that she's so good at, where she just has like a sort of like warmth and knowability and control, quiet control.
And you just feel like, of course, this person is like a skilled hypnotist, which is very crucial to this movie. You need to kind of immediately just be like, hypnotism works fine, and she's great at it.
When you get to the later flashbacks, and it's basically only in a montage, her and McAvoy do have really good chemistry when they're playing the clips, the brief vignettes of...
They do. I mean, he's kind of annoying, but in his way, in his cute way. When he's going like, do you know which painting I'm talking about? I would just be like, shut the fuck up. I can learn about this later. You asshole.
Why are you ranting to me about pubes?
I was like, what? Sure. Fine.
I mean, that's when if you are dating a man and he says, listen, it's so much better because it's filthy. He basically is like, it's dirty and filthy. Do you have pubes, James McAvoy? Do you?
Yeah.
Because you better get rid of yours.
You better
what
walk
you want
the
her
walk
to do.
here.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
If a man says that, you run immediately. If he's like, and so that's why it's, if he cries when he sees your
yums, but
like,
it's also just like,
I agree with you.
Well, no, I just think it's like interesting to discuss this as an art movement. Do you want me to shave or not?
Exactly. It's like,
if that's what you're into,
as
just
he makes
tell
eggs,
me.
he's like,
we can have this conversation.
It is so weird that his perspective is like, what was really good was the art where everyone just looked like a statue.
I could not square
and
the
then
circle
Goya
on this.
fucked it up with pubes. What an asshole.
But he's like, it's a reminder that we're human.
Yeah.
I like the unnatural.
Right, which I guess I understand
quality.
that his character is unlikable.
Yeah.
Sure.
I get that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why is Rosario Dawson continuing to put up with this?
Yeah, it's so bad. But also, why is that in the movie? Like, what significance does that actually have? That has no metaphorical significance.
No.
Even his explanation doesn't make any sense. You're like, okay.
I would agree with everything you just said, but the answer is there's no.
Right.
This movie isn't really bad at anything anyway. So I guess
when you have
something has to be in the movie.
when you have the full push shot, the first
Yeah.
right.
the,
Like
the
the
big
pan
pan
up, the
down.
tilt
She's
up,
walking
yeah.
The
down
tilt
the
up,
hallway.
yes.
It's this like she's
Right.
incredibly glamorous.
Right.
Yes.
And everything about that scene's so weird that you're like, I guess this is just one of those movies that has an incredibly bizarre sex scene. And then the more they go back to it, and you're like, this is a central plot point. This is kind of the key to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to keep on being discussed and shown.
Yeah.
It's wild because, yes, it doesn't tie into anything larger thematically. They just choose that is, it's like a totem. It's the totem. It's the loaded
What I
die.
love about Rosario Dawson.
Yeah.
The amount of dignity she gives his character.
Right.
Like, and this
She's
is why
pretty
she's like
bulletproof in this movie.
unfuckwithable. Like,
Right.
because you think about because she's had other sex scenes, like in Alexander,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
that, which was an insane because they're like fighting each other.
Well,
You're like, what's
that
going
scene
on?
is insane
Another perfect
because she
example of
plays
one
it
of the most
like
bizarre. Yeah.
she's a feral animal.
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
has
yeah.
to like tame
Right.
her.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It's. I mean,
He
it's
got
dark-sided,
game.
but
Yeah.
But like Rosario's that bitch. Like she's just like, you can't make me like it feels, even though like another director, another actor, like that could feel, I mean, it's ridiculous, but it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like exploitative.
There's
It just feels
something
bizarre.
very substantive about her, you know?
I think if this movie took place in New York, it would actually feel weirder.
Mm.
Because it's a Euro movie. You do
Yeah,
kind of have that
I
kind of like,
agree.
this is Europe,
Everyone's
baby.
fucking weird
Yeah.
there.
Let me give you the Danny Boyle quote on this nudity.
Okay.
You used to see this kind of nudity all the time, certainly in European movies. The
I'm going
film,
to push back immediately. You
Well,
see
he means-
this kind of
he means-
nudity?
the female form.
I
I'm
agree.
not sure that he
I agree with
means
that.
you're right.
If he said you used to see nudity all the time, this kind is an absurd statement.
The
but go
film
on.
world, I'm going to continue the quote,
Please.
has supposedly become a lot more prurient about explicit nudity because porn is everywhere and movies want to separate themselves from porn.
Mm.
That's the official line of the movie industry.
Sure.
So films have basically stopped using sex as an engine for stories. If you stop and think about it, you realize sex is rarely present in any mainstream films.
Wait, is sex the engine or is she the engine?
It's two engines, okay?
Okay.
So she's the engine and sex is the NOS button.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually accurate because after that happens, it just went woof.
I mean,
like,
I'm a great film critic. That's the
Yeah.
kind of insight I
oh,
provide.
This guy.
Scenes like the one in Don't Look Now, the famous sex scene between Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland, they wouldn't happen anymore. I'm not talking about specialist art house movies that cater to a small audience. Outside of that, sex has become a big taboo again. Before it was for moralistic reasons. Now it's to put clear water between it and the porn industry. That's it. I've never heard anyone express that specific thought that like
No.
that porn has become so mainstream that movies want to stay away from porn. I don't know that that's the answer,
I don't either.
but it's not an uninteresting concept.
Yeah. Okay. So that was a quote from 10 years ago. And let me check my notes now. Every day, someone new goes viral on Twitter for saying, if you watch sex scenes, you should be arrested.
Couples in movies should be married in real life.
Yes.
Wait, what?
Dude, it's not important, but all the time on Twitter, like teenagers are like, it's insane that anyone has sex on screen. Like,
Right.
how exploitative and you know, like there's this weird
That's
like
so funny because the number of actors I talk to who are, and you know, a number of them women talking about how like the erotic thriller space. A number of
Right.
people I talk to in Hollywood who are like, yeah, we kind of gotta like, and it's not like a lurid thing. It's literally like sex is a huge part of our psychology
Yes.
and our lives,
Indeed.
and it's just not in movies anymore.
Have you
it's crazy.
seen Magic Mike's Last Dance yet?
I have a ticket for tomorrow 3 p.m. Alamo Draft House.
Okay. Amazing.
Ooh,
This will come out after.
Yes. It will have been
Sure.
out. for
Yes,
a
this
couple
film will have come
Please don't
out.
come find
This
us. Yeah.
film is not coming out before 3 p.m. tomorrow. This
Yes.
episode.
Got some editing to do, Ben.
I saw at Alamo Draft House. They did a rowdy screening.
Did you go to that one?
Oh yes.
Did you get accosted?
I didn't get accosted. I did
Get
text
on
Did you
stage.
give
David.
a lap dance?
I did text David and said, I think I'm the only straight man here. I feel pretty confident in that assessment.
That's great.
They gave out dollar bills to throw at the screen, but
Really?
So
Yep. yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
that's fun.
not
Mike
Alamo
Bucks.
bucks.
Oh, Alamo.
Mike
Alamo,
Bucks.
okay.
They had
Yeah,
abs
Alamo
on them,
Bucks, sure.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
where a president would be.
We
There's a
should
picture
do
of
that
abs.
actually. We should put abs on our dollar bill.
Yeah, we should.
Or at least
It
like
should
our
be-
shirtless, you know,
It
whatever.
should be
George
waist up
Washington.
photos of the president shirtless and yoked.
Yeah.
But the woman who worked at the Alamo came out before the screening and was like, look, it's a rowdy screening. So obviously we're not going to kick people out who talk, but like be respectful, this and that. And then she offered this, I think, unnecessary qualifier where she was like, and it's not maybe a movie where you're going to be yelling the whole time. It's a bit of a slow burn. Like you'll get there with the dance sequences, but the movie takes its time. 5 minutes into Magic Mike's Last Dance is possibly, and maybe I'm being hyperbolic because I just saw this
very
film.
Sexy scene.
It's one of the sexiest things I have ever seen in a movie.
Yes, I can't wait.
5 minutes in, and you just felt the
Don't tell me
entire
what
audience buzzing of like, fuck, we never see this
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
There's no nudity.
Yeah.
It is
but
not
it's very, very intimate.
ostensibly a sex scene,
It's
but
like
it is
tooth shaving scene in Handmaid's Tale.
a little bit. It's more overt than that.
Whoa. Okay. Jesus.
But it is like you watch it. It's a dance sequence that is the sexiest thing you've ever seen.
I love this.
It's
I
hot.
can't wait.
And there's something about the energy of watching that in a crowd of other people rather than watching it huddled over a laptop. Being like, well, I can watch this because my parents aren't here.
Yeah.
This is fine.
I have some more quotes that are
Please.
actually really funny. Okay,
Yeah.
one, Boyle's quote about, if we're looking for themes here, it contains within it the idea that of violent control that Simon, James McAvoy, has as an instinct. He wants to shape her in his image. What's interesting for me is how she uses the power of his fantasy.
David, you misread that. Shave her in his image.
But that, I guess that that's
Yeah.
why we see the asshole scene of him being like, I just like it when
Yeah.
and she's retained that and known that will hypnotize him, and that's feeding into a sort of misogynistic idea of control. Oh my God, I'm right. I guess
Yeah.
there's something there.
No, I don't know if this was a misread on my part. But obviously the movie at the end is throwing a lot of shit out at you. I also felt like to some degree in that final swath in which she's kind of claiming the narrative and the whole movie's from her, right? That it feels like part of this for her was this whole long con she was running was also this experiment of can I hypnotize him into only being the parts of him I liked? Right? These conflicts you hear about people who are caught in abusive relationships, physically abusive relationships, where they're like, but you don't understand, he wasn't like that all the time. There was a version of him that was really great, right? And when we're seeing those flashbacks to the early parts of their relationship where you're like, oh, they do have real chemistry in
Highly
these
sexual.
scenes.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's not like the weird stilted noir chemistry that they have in their early scenes within the running time.
Right.
You're chronologically the earliest scenes, you see the thing there. They are charming back and forth with each other on dates, and then he becomes incredibly scary. And part of this thing for her is can I shape him in my image? Is there a way to psychologically get all the bad things out of him? And that's sort of, as much as this movie's about anything, it's maybe about how much can you actually control who you are, who
That
other
is
people are.
Interesting. And
Right?
again, good for a trashy kind of movie about control.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, these quotes are just too good.
Please.
One, Rosario Dawson, I don't know if you guys know this, I was unaware, refers to her vagina as the general.
I have heard this.
I'm so happy for her.
I am too.
That's a good bit.
I'm not sure if it's after the Buster Keaton film.
No, I think
Cannot
it's
confirm.
because her vagina hangs out with Shaq a lot.
Waxing hurts. I wasn't thrilled about that. The
Yep.
general.
See what I mean? It should have been a waxing scene.
It should have been.
The general was angry with me for a little while. She was gnarly. She was mad. I don't know. I can't think of it. I'm going to get myself in trouble. Got the winter dew going on now. I'm happy. Great quote from Rosario
Winter
Dawson.
dew.
Winter Dew.
Here's McAvoy
dude, yeah.
coming in on pubes. I'm sorry. I just got to give you this pube
Give me
run.
the pubes.
Okay.
McAvoy. I think a lot of men shave their keyword there. I think a lot of men shave their balls and their shaft, but that's just for pornos, which
Lieutenant
are still
corporals.
technically
Yeah.
movies.
Okay.
With Simon, a woman shaving is what he prefers. It's part of his fantasy. The reason he likes it is a little deeper than what most guys apparently like it. He is a classical, artistically related aesthetic.
Okay.
I don't know if most guys do like it. By
Yeah.
the way, I think people in porn films seem to like it. I don't know if it's necessarily what people want.
Wait, I love
James McAvoy seems to be having a nervous breakdown.
Yeah,
hearing
right.
that.
He's like, maybe people in porn films I mean, that's so funny.
All I was gonna say, JJ, our researcher, prepares these dossiers weeks, sometimes even months in
Also
advance
totally
of the episode.
shaved.
JJ,
Yeah,
hairless,
oh yeah,
Hairless.
like a
Top
naked
to
mole
bottom.
wrap.
yeah. He's Neo in the
fast.
Matrix in the
just-
when he wakes up.
Yeah, he just fucking cuts through water, no resistance. But so he was doing this research months ago, right? And I feel 2 full months ago, JJ texts us out of nowhere, and he's like, "Guys, look, I know the Trance episode is 10 away. I just have to send you this right now," and sent us the general
The
quotes.
general quote.
He just had the energy of I can't not have someone process this in real time with me.
I love it.
The general.
What I love is that James is clearly grasping for some sense without showing his own
character.
preferences.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, why can't he just say, like, me, I like a bush. Now, this freak I'm playing, like, I guess he wants to fuck a Greek statue. I don't know what to
Right. Right.
Oh, man.
Also, just like the characterization of like, well, he likes shape. It's pretty deep, actually. It's pretty intellectual.
Right.
Deeper than other guys, why they like it. Maybe they don't. But
Maybe
it's
they don't. In porn, they seem to. But I don't watch a lot. But there's the movies.
I mean, I've seen so much porn. I mean, I don't watch porn.
My character likes bukkake, but only because it reminds him of Jackson Pollock. It's actually a pretty deep, like, heady thing.
Now, apparently, this is a Boyle quote. Fassbender indeed was in talks for the Vincent Cassel role, but then apparently insisted that he wanted to play the Rosario Dawson role.
Truly?
Truly. That's what Danny Boyle says.
Okay.
After James's cast?
Yes, I believe so.
I don't. Okay, let me know.
Interesting. Okay.
I feel like him explaining James McAvoy hitting him has will have a very different energy.
Yep.
Than
yes, if that had, I think they would have had to make
I think it's
tweaks.
also, and it's just like from a looking, obviously abuse comes in all shapes and forms.
Mm-hmm.
And from anyone and to anyone.
Yes.
But
no, go ahead. And
Michael Fassbender could beat the shit out of James McAvoy.
Michael Fassbender's a big, strong man, and James McAvoy is a little more shrimpy.
Right.
Yes.
And I just feel so scared for everyone involved.
Yes.
Wow.
That's wild.
What year was this? 2013. They were shot 2012.
Yeah.
Or finishing, or
maybe
2011, maybe.
Yeah.
And he was doing Fish Tank. Came out 2009, 2010.
Fish Tank.
And he also would have had one of these under his belt.
It's 2009.
Right.
He'd done an X-Men. He'd probably done
Shame.
Obviously, he'd done Inglourious Bastards and stuff. But like, I feel like he was doing a lot of stuff fast, right? Like,
do you think he and James? Because like, if you look at their decision making at that stage, they kind of popped at the same time.
Yes.
Like
and
Jane Eyre and Centurion.
And James was like, boop.
Yeah. Right.
And
but then
Fassbender
kind of vanished.
Yeah, I mean, well,
but that's even when they got announced in X-Men, it was like, oh, they're fucking calling it. These are the two guys.
Right.
You know, this is like the generation.
Prometheus is the other thing he did. This episode is brought to you by Mubi, a curated streaming service dedicated to elevating great cinemas. They've got iconic directors. They've got emerging auteurs. They've always got something new to discover. And each and every film is hand-selected. It's your own personal film festival, streaming anytime, anywhere. Okay, let's fire up Mubi.com and see what people could be watching. Triplets of Belleville is the film of the day today. French animated classic, Sylvain Chomet. As good as probably when I saw it in a theater 20 years ago. Oh, wow. They have really good stuff. They have Joan Micklin Silver's Hester Street, which I highly recommend. The film that got Carol Kane an Oscar nomination. They've got Ryuichi Sakamoto Coda, which is very well worth watching. The documentary about the composer Ryuichi Sakamoto, who recently died. So if you want to celebrate his life and his legacy, it's a really beautifully made film to talk about that. Some other Ira Sachs's Little Men is up there. That's a really sweet, tender New York movie. Hal Hartley's Henry Fool, which I've never seen and I may want to check out. Okay, a lot of cool stuff on Mubi. All right, you can try Mubi free for 30 days at Mubi.com/check. That's MUBI.com/check for a whole month of great cinema for free. You know, they pick all kinds of great movies. They're for lovers of great cinema. Obviously, I have to mention that Park Chan-wook, who won our March Madness and will be covered on this show, his film Decisional Leave is streamed exclusively on Mubi in the US and many other countries. So if you're going to want to check out his filmography, that Mubi's going to be essential for you. So Mubi.com/check. Go there, whole month of great cinema for free. They tried to hypnotize all the cast. They had a hypnotherapist come.
Who was susceptible?
McAvoy and Cassel both say it didn't really work for them, sadly. Boyle refused.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I'm a control freak. I don't want to do that. But Dawson enjoyed it and said that it took her on a journey of self-discovery. She talked to her absent father. She did a session with a psychic. I think Rosario Dawson's maybe a little more open as a person spiritually to all kinds of experiences.
She's a New York kid, man.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. They shot it in East London, the movie, just FYI, where the Olympics are happening, basically. This movie has this like Docklands aesthetic, which I like. Like London's Docklands are this weird, like sort of post-industrial, glass and metal and like kind of feels fake and like I feel like it works in the movie. I like I like the way this movie looks.
I love the way the movie looks. I like the way it's shot too. That's the thing I love about Danny Boyle that I really appreciate about this movie. It's like he'll do shots and you're like, why? How did you think of that? Like
it's Anthony Dodd Mantle again, right? It's who he did Slumdog in 127 Hours and 28 Days Later with.
But he does like I think challenge himself to think of interesting ways to shoot things.
Yeah.
I mean, 127 Hours is the peak of that, where it's like, oh, I'm challenging myself to specifically make a movie that takes place in a crevice.
Yeah.
And keep it cinematic. But there is that thing where it's like, it does feel like he's allergic to just sort of standard coverage. And even if I don't totally understand the intended effect of a shot.
Yes. I mean, I think
I can tell there's thought.
They're shooting this on digital because Boyle's always been very like, digital's the future, man. I'm doing it.
This is Dodd Mantle, right?
It's Dodd Mantle. And they as you might have noticed in the movies, lots of mirrors, lots of reflective surfaces, glass, lots of double, triple
But there's no
images.
thematic symbolism there. It just was,
Exactly.
Our brains refracted through light, man.
Now, can we even talk through the plot of this movie?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
I kind of need you to because I'm going to be honest. I could not watch this movie.
Wait, what do you mean?
didn't
Like
watch it?
your eyes just slipped off the
truly,
screen?
my phone just kept going to my eyes. Like I just couldn't pay attention to this.
You want to hear chronologically or in the order of the film? What happened?
Ben,
Choose one.
which would you rather?
What's going to be the least convoluted?
Chronologically.
Chronologically.
Let's do that.
Okay, so this is guy. His name's James McAvoy or something.
No, let's call him James McAvoy.
Yeah.
James McAvoy, and he's a gambling addict, and so he goes to a hypnotist.
Which
because
he
he's
also
like,
doesn't seem like a degenerate. Like
No,
McAvoy doesn't
You can
read
tell he's
as
a gambling addict
degenerate.
because he's going all in. I love how
he's also very sweaty in the entire film.
I just had a gambling problem. All in.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, we get it. He was all in.
And I love that
problem
they
is
have
that he
one
was
little bit
bad
of
at
him
gambling.
playing poker on his computer at work. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought he was just playing a game.
Yeah.
And then, of course, turns out he's a gambling addict. He's a
addict.
gambling addict.
He's in debt.
He's like, what am I going to do? I need to stop this. And so he goes to a hypnotist, and then they fall in love, and she has a very unethical, inappropriate relationship with her client. He becomes abusive, and so she starts to hypnotize him to forget her because he just can't leave her alone. And then she's pissed.
Is it
She wants
implying
revenge.
that their sessions are ongoing
Yes.
Which they add at the
professionally,
end, which is hilarious.
even though they are romantically involved.
Yes.
And
so
he's abusing her.
even though he has hit her
Yeah.
in the course of their relationship, the sessions are still happening.
Yeah.
And only then she's like, so I started to mess with the session so he would forget.
Yeah,
That is the
100%,
most
yeah.
surprising choice in the movie almost, is that when she's like, so then I had to train him to forget me, and it's not like she's hypnotizing him in their bedroom.
Right.
He's in the office
Coming to the office,
It's
yeah.
odd.
of her
Anyway.
practice.
But that's why in the monologue, that they add that at the end. She says this whole thing, and then she's like, we were still doing the session because he
Yeah.
insisted. And I was like, okay, you couldn't say that earlier because then I'd be too busy thinking about how that doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
But anyway, so she trains him, or she hypnotizes him to forget him. But then she's pissed. She wants revenge. So she's like, you're going to steal me a painting. I don't know why that needed to happen in any way, shape, or form, what that would get her. I'm not really sure, but that's her plan.
I
So
mean,
he steals
get
his
a
painting.
masterwork in your apartment.
That's
That's
true,
pretty,
but, like-
pretty special.
Oh, she wanted something to show for the relationship, I guess, or something.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it does. I mean, the implication at the end is that she was originally wanting the painting for the money, and now she attaches too much emotional value
Yeah,
to
'cause of
it
the whole journey.
and doesn't plan on selling it.
Listen, Griffin, it's about the journey.
It's about the journey.
Okay, thank you.
It's about the journey. Okay.
And then she's supposed to find out where it is, but then he gets hit in the head by Vincent Cassel, and that fucks up everything. And so from that point on, she's also like kind of assed out like everyone else. And so she goes and she tries to get it out of his head. He has to have sex with several people for this to happen, and shave her veg. And then he remembers everything, tries to kill her and Vincent Cassel. Vincent Cassel does not blow up, even though he's in a very hot car. And
gets out.
he does, he survives, which is really
Right.
fun.
But McAvoy
Wait, can I tell you my favorite moment of the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Where he's in the water and she goes, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "No." I was like, that's the most honest beat of this entire film.
But some other crazy plot points, because this movie has a lot of things going on. So it's not Vincent Cassel. It's the other guy who, the drug dealer. is how McAvoy gets linked to Cassel.
Yeah.
Basically says he realizes he wants to pull this heist. He doesn't know any criminals, but he knows a drug dealer who then refers him to his unsavory French friend with animalistic sexual energy. And
I mean, that's all he's got, Vincent.
Right. And that McAvoy's trance is successful until the point where, because it's an inside job, McAvoy has to play act trying to stop Cassel, but McAvoy gets overzealous, zaps Cassel.
He sees Cassel about to open the thing.
Oh,
That's that they revealed at the end, yeah.
Okay.
Where you probably were tired and were like, what's on?
There are a lot of things to cover. Yeah. I've only tranced once at this point. But he zaps him, so then Cassel knocks him out, and then that unlodges the thing in his brain, the cage that was keeping the memories. So then when he walks out, he's so enraged. He gets the text from Rosario Dawson saying, "Bring it to me now," but he's becoming unhinged and he's remembering her. And then a woman hits him with a car,
Played
tries
by
to help
Middleton.
him. The great Tuppence Middleton.
Who I love.
He is then convinced that she is Rosario Dawson.
Yeah.
And now he's so fucking angry because he remembered that she got angry at him for being an asshole and an abuser that he strangles Tuppence Middleton to death.
In the middle of the street, in the middle of the day, and no one notices.
Just drives her car with her dead body next to him into a parking lot and then shoves her in the trunk along with the rolled up painting.
When they open that trunk.
That is nasty.
Horrendous image.
Pretty good effects, like makeup
Really
effects
good,
in
yeah.
this
Right.
film when needed. Yeah.
She's gotten Beetlejuiced, kind
Yes.
of.
I mean, she juicy.
She juice.
It's really,
No doubt
it's
about
really
that.
So
stressful.
this movie presents it to us that when McAvoy wakes up, they're like, he has amnesia. He genuinely doesn't remember where this thing is. And Cassell's like, we need to get the information out of him without obviously alerting the police what we're trying to find.
And we can't kill him.
So we have to hire a hypnotherapist to somehow unlock this.
Choose
in
one,
him.
and he lets him choose one, which doesn't make sense.
Cassel goes, why did you choose her? He goes, I don't know. Which we later find out it's like the eternal sunshine. Somehow he's just drawn to her,
Right.
even though the memory is suppressed.
What's
right?
her last name again? She has a kind of a good
Lamb.
last name. Lamb.
I
Yeah.
think it's
Dr.
Slow
Lamb.
Horses.
Dr.
Yes.
Lamb.
Right.
Slow Horse is good.
But then within the film, we find out that she went to Cassel because she then makes McAvoy think, I want in. I can tell you're in danger. I should be cut in on this.
Right.
Instead, you find out that she went to Cassel and was like, here's what you're going to do. Send him to me.
Wait,
He has
I
to
missed
think that I'm holding. She says this thing about like, he needs to think that I've genuinely seized power. He can't think that he's cutting me in. He has to think that I have you guys under my boot, which we can do if you tap a wire to him.
Wait,
and then
when does that happen? I totally missed that.
He's got a wire taped to his chest, and she comes in with the flash card.
Oh, no.
yeah, we
when
know
did-
that.
No, I don't remember the part where she was like, Vincent's what you have to do.
There's the part where you see her, because she reads in the newspaper about the robbery, and he's like the hero
Lord, I have to
guard.
rewatch this whole
Then
movie
there's
now.
a scene, there's a flashback to her taking Vincent Cassel out to dinner, and she's like, I'm going to act like I'm taking control of this, but
She took him out to dinner. Wow,
It's-
I've been hypnotized by
yeah.
the film.
I'm trying to remember this too. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And
This
I
is
don't
a
know.
real movie where you have to like gesture with two hands
Yes.
like this, kind of like.
you have to explain it physically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
they
funny.
are definitely doing a thing where she's like, if we can trigger his jealousy
Right.
by, McAvoy's jealousy,
Yeah.
that will put him under my control.
But it's this, where did you
and
put
then
the thing?
hammer blows the
Right.
shaped pussy. What?
Right. Well, of course. The where did you put this thing, which they mask as like your keys, so it keeps on coming back to the car, which they're using as like a substitute object because obviously they don't want to say stolen painting.
Right.
But then you realize, oh, it's because he's also suppressed the memory of where he put the dead body.
Yeah.
It would have been funny if they just went with Goya instead, but then he went and got beans like out of a cupboard or something.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
Is
That
it
would have
funny
been a
then?
funny
Are we
joke
sure?
moment.
Right.
What's
He-
that? Would that have been good?
I
Are we
said-
sure?
Yeah. Is that what it was my question? But you listen, I feel like we all have our gifts.
He can't unlock where the painting is because
And yours are Goya-
the
Goya
painting
gifts.
is tied to the suppressed trauma of the crime he committed.
Now you're reading into things in a very special way because
I
I don't
think
even know
that's-
if the movie went that far.
They're both in the same trunk, and he keeps on talking about the red car.
Okay.
And the car
I feel you. You're like,
keys.
you're basic. But see, this is what's funny. It's like that could have been tracked. I mean, all of it's crazy, but that could have
Yeah.
been tracked also better. Like where
Oh,
it's like,
yes.
I'm suppressing a violent act, not so much. But I think I've killed my lover.
I read it more as whatever remnants of her previous hypnotism that worked for him to try to suppress the violent parts of him has already sort of by force forgotten the crime he committed. And because the painting and the dead body are in the same trunk, that's why he can't unlock it. Because they keep on going like, what is the thing holding him back? Is it that he's worried?
She's also not really sure what the fuck's going on.
That was my read. Because it's like her following him to the car at the end with Cassel, despite knowing he's a homicidal maniac and all this shit. It's like, why would she put herself in danger? And the answer is because it's like, there's no other way to crack this. She keeps on saying like, he can't remember because he's worried that you're going to kill him after you get the painting. So there's a part of himself protecting himself.
Yeah.
And I read it as like, the final piece missing is that like, the trauma and the shame is linked to painting because it's all in the same vehicle. I don't know. I mean, it's like one of these things where it's like, I don't know if I'm reading too much into it or I'm missing 15
I think
things.
it's fine to read that into it, especially since they make the art so prominent. The painting being stolen is the Goya painting, which is in the air, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But is of this like blind man walking beneath these like witches who are flying in the air, and I guess there's some sort of like thematic man being led by women under their spell kind of thing going on there.
Sure.
What room was she in at the end?
She's in a yellow room now.
I was like,
I don't know. She sends an iPad video to Vincent Cassel being
I'm sorry, she sends an entire iPad that is rigged with a video.
Entire iPad. It's got two.
she's like Batman or something.
It's got two
Like,
things: video and trance.
Yes.
Those are your two options.
It's got a video
also, she
and
goes,
an app.
and boop here,
Yes.
and then touches, I guess, the screen.
I'm like, the icons don't appear over the video.
Well, you know
it's
what?
amazing. Listen, she's a tech guy.
But it's like it's like Mirage from The Incredibles, where it's
The
like
weird thing is she actually programmed the iPad while she was shaving her vagina in that
One
screen.
hand.
Yeah. She did it all at the same time.
one-handed.
See, here's the other thing. I'm still caught up on this that she used an electric razor. But she waxed in real life. I'm like, at the very least, we should hear the water turn on and
I know.
you know.
What's funny is that when you hear
I'm upset.
you're like, I get it. He can't show me the vagina on screen, so you have to have a sound effect that allows us to fill in our
And then
mind.
he's like,
And then he shows it, and you're just like, well, then you could have just had running tap water.
Yeah.
You could have had tap
This
water with
might-
a few,
I'm
the
sorry,
sound
but
of the Bic, the
It
Venus
might
against
just
the
be
sand.
maybe run some of this stuff by women next time when you're writing your script or doing your post. Anyway, look.
What if it's
You're
a
doing
hot
your
foam
Foley work.
machine? Because those might make a
foam.
noise. Yeah, you know, like a warm foam like
what is that?
device.
It makes
What?
warm
It's-
foam.
Yeah,
For
you
your
guys are all
shaving?
looking
Keep
at
saying
me like
foam.
it's crazy.
No.
but it's
do men
truly
use that
like
to shave their
You mean
faces?
rather than like
a hot
a
lather.
classic shaving
A hot
cream?
lather
Yeah,
machine.
sure.
We don't do that. Women, we don't put hot
Hot
lather in
lather.
our
Yeah.
nether regions to
Do
shave.
you? How do you shave? What is your face?
Do you go to like a
Clearly, he's
1950s
got a hot
barber? I love
lather.
this.
I mean,
yeah, I love this.
Do you do
I just
Use
do
a
it
flat
with an
razor?
electric razor.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
everyone's lazy.
But
these
I
days.
know that this device exists.
Right.
Can we look up who's sponsoring this episode? Because if it isn't Manscaped, we should get them in
Yeah,
on
we
this.
That's
actually.
a
We should
great
actually
call.
try to
Actually should.
reorganize the order.
And I can't wait to send that email because right now it's only Indeed, the job hiring.
Okay,
guys.
yeah, let's send them and say, like, we
You're gonna
really
be a
think
hypnotist.
Manscaped would get a huge bump from this episode. No,
Anyway,
it's,
no,
this
she
is what should be.
sends-
It should be. She should go. Hold on, 1 second. We'll be back in a moment. She closes the door, and then you just hear her go, "Ew, ouch, 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 ew, ooh."
Or she
ew."
uses Nair and she says chemical burns.
Yeah, and then she
afterwards.
walks out, and
Right.
she's sort of like,
It's a kind of
"Ugh, ooh,
blotchy.
sore,
Right.
Oof.
Yeah.
Her whole middle's wet.
Right. She sends this video to Vincent Cassel.
She's
being
got the
like,
ripped up like toilet paper.
Oh.
All right. She sends a video, and she's basically like, "Nice painting, right? Have it hanging on my wall now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could come find me if
I
you
thought
want."
I would find this traumatic.
I hope you do.
Yeah.
Or you can
Right.
forget everything.
But I also don't. I won't judge you if you want to forget that you ever knew me. But I maybe
If
am in
so,
love with
press
you.
trance button.
Right.
But
I've
yes,
chosen
right.
to not sell this painting for $100 million because it reminds me of you, and I guess I'm just corny that way.
Sure.
So I
Also,
don't
it's
know.
Stolen art.
If you want to meet me, you know where I am in the yellow room. If not, hit the button and we'll wipe your brain to factory reset.
I felt
Meanwhile,
so
McAvoy
confused.
dead.
Dead.
Yeah. In the waters.
Waters
Waters of
drowned.
England. Yeah.
The waters of England.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he just
Those English waters.
She trucks him into the water.
Yeah, and into the waters. Yeah,
That's such a wild, like Mad Max move of
to save Vincent Cassel's life.
Cassel's just like engulfed in flames, trying to escape, and she just leaves, and you're like, "What's going on?"
So
oh,
good.
she's gonna get like a forklift to push the car into the water, in the hopes that Cassel is able to escape in time.
Yeah, because the fucking car. Like, what if he just was
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
Look,
he
all a
almost
little
he barely
silly.
makes it out. Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
There's something going on in this movie.
There's
Sure, stuff going on.
I have
Oh,
so
man.
much fun watching.
Someone gets shot in the dick.
Oh yeah,
That is
Oh,
true.
yes.
Real.
It's,
like,
Dark
real.
RoboCop
viscerally.
style. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it? It's Danny Sapani gets shot in the
Dennis
dick, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Alright.
that's
That's kind of. I mean, it's. Yeah, I guess it's in that
R.I.P.
theater of the mind sequence. But when McAvoy
Blows off
shoots the
Cassel's
guys
head.
through the shadows of the glass.
Oh yeah, that is.
That's
yeah,
a
yeah,
cool kind of thing. Yes, and
No,
then he
the
has to-
violence in this movie in general is fun and lurid. Like I like
Yes.
the violence in this
Yes.
movie. Yes.
and that effect is so good and so simple on Cassel missing the top half of his head being blown off.
Yeah.
I believe they just shot a prosthetic and shot a plate of him and then combined the two.
Nice.
But like the brain
I think
guts.
that's the CG.
I think it's I remember seeing some VFX breakdown where that was a physical thing that was built.
Oh, they scan
So-
it and they booped on.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
And boop is the technical term.
yes,
They booped it.
I
Yeah.
got Sean Bobbitt saying boop. So
You got to.
got the
You're like, can you boop
is
this?
coming over. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
like,
right.
let me just boop it here. Let me just boop, boop,
We
boop,
need to
boop, boop,
boop Miss
Yeah.
Marvel, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I
You love it. Just don't
You
deny
love
it.
it.
I
Don't
don't
fight it.
dislike it. I think this movie is fun. I do think the fair critique is like I don't know if I can reach deep for you on like what this is about.
No.
I wonder if I had just done the Olympics, keep thinking Oscars,
Yes.
Olympics opening ceremony, and I just wanted to like make a movie, like I could see myself getting taken in by like a
You
Yeah.
mean like if you just done this super serious thing and it's like, all right,
107 hours, and you're like,
yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
sort of like right that theory that like every movie is a director's response to their previous film in some way. They're either following what worked for them or trying to go in the opposite direction of that. And it's like this is him simultaneous with the Olympics, which is so much pressure and such a thing that is bigger than any one movie could ever be. I do think there's an interesting thought to this being like a psychological split for him, where he's like, I need a trash can to exercise all of this, so none of this is in my system when I'm working with the queen.
Yes.
Right.
It's a spit bucket.
Yes.
Wait, what?
It's a
What did he do after this again?
After this movie, he makes Steve Jobs,
Which
which
feels like
obviously
him
he's,
sort of going back to a safer zone.
Yeah.
but also
Yeah.
he's jumping into, and we'll talk about that movie plenty, but like he's jumping into a Fincher project,
Yes.
with a script that's written and all that, that's not an entirely Boyle generated project. And then after that, he does Trainspotting 2, which is a little more the sort of like,
That came out during the pandemic.
no, it didn't. It came out in 2017 and just no one remembers that it
Memory hole.
exists. And then he did Yesterday.
Did it come out? Oh, what?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then since then, he has done television miniseries, and he has now done
Trust.
another movie, Trust,
Two
and
FX series. Pistol. Yeah.
about the Sex Pistols.
That show was fun. I watched
There
it.
you go. Ben enjoyed it.
Yeah, my mom loved it.
All right.
She said it was the best TV show she's ever seen.
Ever?
I was surprised.
Okay.
When I saw Matilda the musical in theaters, I turned to my friend and I said, "This is the best movie I've ever seen."
That
I
movie
cried like 3
rules.
times. Oh
That
my
movie
God.
is
Oh my
fantastic.
god, those little babies!
That is one of the strangest things that's ever happened.
It's so good.
Is Netflix like being like, I guess we made this, and you're like,
If you force
this is
us.
fantastic.
I'm so
What-
mad at Netflix for their general attitude about the amazing shit that comes on their
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah,
I'm like,
like-
come on, you can't treat everything the same.
Right. But
Anyway, we can't talk about this. Wait,
No,
can I ask a question?
yes.
Anything.
In the scene where he's in the hospital and a white doctor shows up with all of his Asian like students or like
Yeah.
residents or whatever the fuck they're called, what the fuck was that commentary? Like, did you remember this?
I
yeah.
do. It's a sequence where he's like, right, you ready to get out of the hospital? And James McAvoy's like, huh? He's like, what's your name? And he's like, I don't know, James McAvoy. And he's like, you seem good.
Yeah.
See you later. All
Let's go,
right.
kids.
And his students follow on behind him. I don't know
And
if
they're
there's.
all Asian.
Yeah, well, obviously there are many,
Yes.
many, many Asian doctors in Britain, but I don't know if that's supposed to be a
I was like,
commentary
is this
on
like
anything.
this is
or-
the future? You better fund the NHS, like, and allow immigration, or was it
Possibly.
like, LOL, why are there so many Asians? I was like, I'm confused.
I don't know.
I'm scared.
This was another thing I was confused by, and maybe I shouldn't be looking for answers here. But like when the movie, the order in which things are presented to us in the movie, right? They first want us to make the jump that it's like Cassel knocks him out. He's lying on the floor, bleeding out. And then the next thing that happens, he wakes up in the hospital. And they're like, congratulations, we kept you alive. Do you remember anything? But then the movie later fills in, no, Cassel knocks him out. He gets up off the floor. He runs out into the street. He gets the text message. He gets hit by the car. He gets in the car. He chokes a woman. He drives the car to a parking lot. He leaves it there. And then at what point is he found? Does he end up in the hospital?
At what point does he actually get amnesia?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, when does his actions
He's
stop?
choking her, and while he's choking her, he's sort of like, I'm sort of starting to forget what the deal is.
But then he should drive the car.
Puts her car in the trunk.
Does he then walk to the hospital from the parking lot and go like, hey, I can't remember anything?
Well, he might be hungry. I mean, he's had a day so far. Maybe he
Who
stops and
gets
gets a
him
bite
to
to
the
eat.
You're right. You know, he actually, he goes to
Cheeky
Burger
Nando's.
King. Right. He gets a cheeky Nando's.
He gets a cheeky Nando's.
Eats it.
Yeah.
He tips.
Yeah.
You know,
Some halloumi fries.
and then-
Which you don't
right,
do
right.
normally, typically,
In Britain,
right?
no, not really.
Yeah.
And like
12% they have though, no?
yeah, 10-12%. And then like he walks to I remember leaving my little pound coin as a tip, thinking I was such a grown up when I was like 14 years old. And then he maybe does some shopping. Right.
Yeah.
A few weeks pass.
I mean, but the thing is, like, anything
And then he's like,
could have
I'm
happened.
not entirely compos mentis here.
It's like the Jay Leno interview I'm obsessed with. Did you watch that thing?
Which one?
I sent it to you and the Doughboys because we were half of our conversations in our group text are about Jay Leno. But Jay Leno had the horrible accident recently where one of his classic cars caught on fire and he caught on fire, right? And he
Wait, really?
Oh,
Yeah. Yes.
He went in flame. He went up in flame.
Ben, this is what's crazy about it. Okay, if I can talk about this for a second,
Sure.
and this is very
We've got
important
time.
and on
No,
topic.
we're almost done,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yes.
Good. Yes.
He didn't do an interview for like 2 months, right? And then went on the Today Show. And his interview with Gayle King, she came to his garage, right? He's got his huge Jay Leno garage, the infamous garage, the titular garage, right? He was underneath one of his cars that looked like the car that Goofy rides.
I'm sorry. The beginning of the interview is him underneath one of his cars.
No,
And
no.
he slides out.
This is the story of what
okay.
happened. But he's still in the garage and the car's still there, right? He was underneath the car working on it, and there was some faulty thing, and like a fireball exploded. His friend, who seems to be like the guy he hires to help him with the cars all the time, he goes like, hey, like, can you get me out from under here? I'm on fire. And he's like, oh, Jay, what a cut up. Making these jokes about being on fire because of his tone of voice did not seem to have any urgency in it.
Right. He wasn't like, oh my God, I'm on fire.
So he rolls Jay out, and Jay is engulfed in flames. And he asks, Gayle King asked the friend, she was like, how was it? He was like, really bad. I cannot tell you how disturbing it was. And Jay's like, well, you know, things happen. No one should feel bad for me. I've had a good life. And then she's like, Jay, wasn't it scary? And he's like, nah, you know, whatever. And then he's like, so then what happened? He was like, I hugged Jay. I patted him down. I tried to engulf the flames. Then he ran to the bathroom and he came out and his flesh was falling off his face. Right? And she was like, so what did you do next, Jay? And he was like, well, I drove home. He was like, what do you mean you drove home? You didn't call an ambulance? He was like, no, I didn't want to be a bother. It's like, what? And he's like, well, my wife, she doesn't drive, and I didn't want to pick up a phone.
His wife doesn't drive?
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
he
what
was
if you're
like,
married to Jay Leno?
so he was like,
Doesn't he have like a chauffeur?
I guess you don't need to.
I drove myself home.
Yeah.
And it's like with flesh falling off of you. And then he got home and his wife was like, what the fuck happened? Oh, my car on fire.
What did he look like in the interview? Did he have like bandages and stuff?
He's got
extensive reconstructive. Skin grafting.
I mean, he looks okay.
He looks
now.
good, but he was like, his wife was like, "Why aren't you in the hospital?" He said, well, I didn't want you to worry about me. I didn't want to bother." She had to like talk him into going to the hospital the next morning, and then he got to the hospital and they were like, "You should have come here immediately." Well, I didn't want to be anyone's problem. And then he spent like 2 months in like a sensory deprivation tank, and they were like reconstructing an ear from his back flesh and everything.
Oh my God.
But there was just no urgency to this whatsoever. And Gayle King was like, why do you keep making jokes about this? He's like, no one wants to hear me be serious. And she's like, Jay, you almost died. He's like, no, it's fine. And then he takes out a copy of the National Enquirer and is like, look at these weird headlines they did about me. Jay Leno caught in flames. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? She was like, no, it doesn't sound ridiculous. It sounds like you caught on fire. Well, yeah, I don't know. Who cares?
Enjoy this. This makes me concerned for his mental.
Doesn't want to be a bother. Anyway, it reminded me of James McAvoy in this, who just keeps on doing more things after getting injured.
I felt like this movie was like a party your friend won't let you leave. Just keeps going and going, and you're like, what's gonna happen?
And you're like,
Yeah.
I gotta go. And he's like, no, I got one more thing to show you.
Yeah. And you're
It's-
like,
it's-
oh my God.
yeah.
And then eventually someone's dead.
And you're like trying to tell him, like, I have to go to the bathroom.
Right.
You're pointing at the bathroom. You're like, you're re-angling over to the bathroom.
You're doing the thing where you kind of like you're like, anyway.
Yeah.
You're moving your whole body towards it.
Yes.
Right.
It's a relentless film.
I like it. I think it's pretty fun. But
Yeah,
I don't
me
think
too.
it's one of his better films.
No, it's not.
Like,
but you compare this to Yesterday. This feels thoroughly like a Danny Boyle movie.
Yeah,
And he's trying a lot of
Yesterday
things.
was very doesn't really. That's Hamish Patel's like big.
Mhm.
Right?
Well, and he's a handsome boy. I got no
Love
beef
him.
with him.
I like him.
Yeah,
Too. I
but
was
like
watching Station 11, and he's so good in it.
but like Yesterday is maudlin and kind of unenergetic. Like the whole thing with Boyle is I'm like the guy at least always has pizzazz. Like
Yeah.
even if maybe I don't love the material.
Well,
he's working
and
with.
like, Steve Jobs is Boyle doing Sorkin. Like there's
Masterpiece.
another major
Yeah, but that's a
author
masterpiece.
there. What did I
but
say?
It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece.
I like Steve Jobs a lot too, actually.
It
Yes.
feels like a Boyle movie, whereas
does.
Yesterday you're like, this is Danny Boyle directing a Richard Curtis film.
like
That's a Richard Curtis script,
sort of
right?
yes, it is.
Yeah, okay.
And it's
so-
like, that's the franchise he's serving.
Why? Did he talk about why? I mean, I guess you'll talk
He
about
said he
this
made
on your
it as,
episode.
he said he made it as a tribute to teachers. I've never understood that
Teachers?
comment. I'm
No,
obsessed
isn't
with
there
that comment.
also that quote
Is he
we
taking the
read
piss,
where he
though?
was like obsessed with Notting Hill and was just sort of like, I want to make one of these at some point.
He has long been like, wow, rom-coms. Like those things are crazy. I love them. Like
Yeah.
I can't imagine how you make one of those. And then he did Yesterday and you're like, it's not your strong suit, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess you
know?
also couldn't imagine how to
Right.
make one of those.
What's he gonna do next? Tell me.
I don't know, and I would love him to make another.
I mean, the couple, Miss
Yeah, I love
Saigon gets talked about. The Methuselah action movie with Michael B. Jordan.
yes, that has long been gestating, but yeah. No.
These are the couple
don't either.
things he's been like actively still talking about.
Right.
Obviously, he came very close to doing the last James Bond,
Right.
which was
That
sort
like
of
Yeah.
ate up a lot of his life,
Yeah. Right.
and then
because he
didn't make it.
redeveloped. I mean, he developed the whole script. Yeah.
Mhm.
But that took him out of the loop for like a year and a half, 2 years.
And then he's just been
Yeah.
doing these, fucking FX shows, and it's like, whatever. Anyway, we'll talk more about it. But well, I guess I mean, at this point in the podcast, there's still 3 films to discuss.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
starting to.
We are starting to get to the Danny. What are we gonna do? Phase.
Are you finding a new appreciation for him as you do this?
I've always liked him. I don't know if I find a new appreciation, but I am enjoying watching all of them. But there is this part of
a
him-
movie like this, though. I'm like, look, if something like this came out right now, would it go over great? Probably not.
No,
But like, there is just the sort of like energetic erotic thriller thing is just sort of enough to
if
make us feel
A24
distinguished.
released this
Mm.
tomorrow
Mm.
on 1,000 screens, there would at least be energetic debate around it. Whereas it would at least get a response like Men, where
Right.
people who hated it were like, I really want to dig into this,
Mm.
rather than Trance, where just felt people being like, fuck this movie.
Oh,
Right, yeah.
The other thing is 28 months or years later is the other thing they keep
Right.
saying. they're
Those are
gonna
the
do.
3
I
he
want
kind of
that
keeps
so
talking about.
badly.
Yeah, because Cillian Murphy is hotter than ever,
Right.
and they supposedly
hot,
have an
there he
idea.
is, yeah.
That's certainly right.
Yeah.
He's
I was making a joke to my friend, and I was like, my sexuality is Cillian Murphy screaming Selena in the stairwell in 28 Days Later when he's running from zombies. I'm like, that's what I need in my life.
so
Eating
beautiful.
Amanda
in that
screaming
movie.
my name.
it-
Selena in the stairwell.
It is, I'm not going to say this. He's just unbelievably beautiful. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Watching that film again, it's just like he looks like a Precious Moments doll with piercing eyes
And a
Yes.
Skrillex haircut.
and a Skrillex haircut. I don't know, Nate, do you have general Danny Boyle thoughts?
I love him. I think he's a genius. I think
Yeah.
I'm a little jealous of directors who are like huge stylists, like because
Yes.
I find it so. One, it just takes so much longer to shoot movies like that,
Yes.
and you have to be so. I don't know. There's so many movies now, and they all sort of are the same, and they
often
all
look
follow the same
Yeah.
fucking, sort of like hero's journey, and they all sort of are shot the same. It's just like, here's a medium close up. Oh, we're gonna start with a Y, and then wait, establish this location. It's just all like,
Yeah.
and with him, you always know you're gonna get something that's special and feels unique, and it feels like him, and it feels like an actual point of view, and a real person's person's real demented brain, and I think that's special, and I love filmmakers like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, you asked if they're gaining a new appreciation for him. I think my appreciation of him was really high to begin with. The thing I've thought about a lot while going through this career is just that it feels like it is impossible to make this career happen now.
Right.
You know? And
Trance would be on streaming for sure.
Right. And beyond that it's like even Danny Boyle at certain point, it feels like it started to run dry. And it's like, why'd he make... I remember asking you when the Yesterday trailer came out, David, I was like, why is Danny Boyle directing this? And you were like, because he wants to make a movie.
That was my guess.
And it is
certainly.
so limited in terms of what movies you can actually get greenlit at a certain
know what
level
the Beatles are.
anymore. Right. Like
The movie
Beatles
did well?
is a brand name. It was...
You know what? Actually, it did do well.
It
You're right.
did well.
Yeah.
It did well. And it's like, that's one of those things where you go like, well, you know what? His 2010s box office run was kind of rough post Slumdog. He never had another like undeniable hit.
Right.
If Yesterday is what it takes to get him out of movie jail, then like I'm excited to see what he does next. And he has not been able to get another movie off the ground.
But I also feel like Slumdog coming, like, looking at his filmography before, like, Slumdog is the aberration.
David has made this point, which is like Slumdog feels like him winning Best Picture almost by accident.
Right.
Yeah, but,
like,
that makes so deserved because he has the mind of someone who like does make a movie that is the Best Picture.
But it's odd that film was such a big hit, that it was such a runaway Oscar favorite, that suddenly the narrative became like, well, Danny Boyle, of course, is overdue when he was like never an Oscar-y filmmaker. He always felt like this edgy kind of like outsider. I don't know. It's like, yeah, I want him to just still be able to run through different genre exercises now. And you just feel like the options are getting more and more limited, where it's like, you know, I like the fact that he walked away from Bond, that he felt like,
right, I'm not gonna just like
I
get
had a
hammered
specific
into the
movie I wanted to make, and
yeah.
it feels like that's slipping away from me, and I'm going to step away now. Because like at that point in his career, sure, he doesn't need to do this for 2 years if it's not going to be the movie he wants to make. But also it felt like he knew Bond might be one of the only ways I get to work on this scale anymore.
Yes.
A Richard Curtis script and having the Beatles music is one of the only ways I get to work on this scale anymore. Like it still feels like he's looking for the things.
Let's play the box office game.
Let's play the box office game.
We're doing the wide weekend, not the limited, because we've done the limited weekend.
Okay.
Relatively recently. So this movie went wide, 500 screens. On April 12th, 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Its total gross in England, in America, $2.3 million.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't really. It just the movie barely came out here.
Yeah.
Wow.
It actually did okay internationally. Made 20 internationally,
Okay.
so it made 22 worldwide. I don't know how much it cost, but I can't imagine
about
it
20,
cost about 20.
probably.
Yeah. Number one this week, Griffin, is a biopic.
2013.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. Is it 42?
It's 42. I wanted to see if you could get it just from Biopic, not sports biopic.
Well, I just remember that was a big hit.
It was big hit. It's opening number one. It's gonna make $100 million.
Can I ask you a question about that movie?
I've never seen it.
I saw it. There's a scene where Jackie Robinson gets on the train, and the little black boy is like, "Wow!" And then the train leaves, and then the little boy puts his ear to the track, and we hold on it, and then he looks at his mother or whoever he's with, and he goes, "I can still hear him."
What?
Exactly. I was like, "What?" And then it cuts to the next scene. I was like, so confused. Anyway, that's all I remember.
I've seen that film. I don't remember that moment.
I was so befuddled. Anyway, continue.
I just remember that film. You know, obviously it was one of those things where it was like, why has there never been this movie? Like, why has it never happened? Spike Lee wants to make it, blah, you know, like, and then it's like, it's finally happening. Brian Helgeland is making it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, he's the guy who wrote LA Confidential and
directed Payback, the Mel Gibson movie.
Oh, great.
And
no, Ron Howard directed Payback. Oh, yeah.
Ron Howard directed Ransom.
Of course. Sorry. He did
Hedgeland
Payback,
did A Knight's Tale as well.
Knight's Tale, which is good.
Right.
Which is
not the obvious person
and the
to
order
direct 42.
But that again, that was
he wrote and
what they were
directed
doing
it.
at the time.
Yeah.
And I just remember it being one of those movies where you're like, yeah, this feels like straight out of the History Channel or whatever. It's like totally fine.
Right.
Everyone is very like respectful.
Yeah, the X Factor was Chadwick and everyone being like, oh, this guy's a genuine find.
He's really good in it, but it's that it was the whole thing with him was that the the James Brown movies where you were like, oh, he can do like something entirely different as well.
And he can also play Thurgood Marshall. Like I remember that was when I was like, is he going to play every iconic?
That was
black?
And
the answer was yes, and then I'll play a fictional one.
Right, and then that will become more iconic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a It's fine.
Sure.
Who's the white guy in that? Is it Kevin
Harrison
or
Ford.
is it Harrison? Yeah. Okay.
Number 2 at the box office is a comedy sequel.
Comedy?
New this week.
It's not Dumb and Dumber 2, is it?
No.
Comedy sequel. It's not Horrible Bosses 2?
No.
It's a 2?
It's in the spoof world. It is not a 2.
It's not a 2.
Yeah.
Is it Scary Movie 5?
It's Scary Movie 5.
Wow. That's the Black Swan one?
If you say so.
I'm obsessed with the fact that they finally got around to like critically acclaimed
Yeah.
non-horror movies.
Yeah, it's more like Oscar bait movie.
No, seriously.
That's Malcolm D. Lee.
It's Malcolm D. Lee, right? Okay.
And I think Black Swan is the main spine of the movie with Ashley Tisdale playing the Natalie Portman.
Apparently, there's also Paranormal Activity.
Oh, sure.
Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Glad they skewered that movie.
So scary.
Inception.
The most terrifying movie. They haunted his brain.
Yeah, I don't know.
His dreams.
With machine guns. I love how it was like, this is really intense and metaphysical and metaphorical, but it's still guns.
Big
are the
ass
only
guns.
Mode of,
Yeah.
You know, in dramatic thrust.
Number 3 at the box office
Mhm.
is an animated film.
Animated film 2013.
Got a sequel years later.
I gotta see.
It was a big hit.
The Croods?
It's The Croods.
Yeah.
Nothing to say about The Croods.
I saw it.
Number 4 is a action sequel.
Mm-hmm. Is it a 2?
Yes.
You hesitated.
Well, it doesn't have the word 2 in the
Okay,
title.
but it is a
It is the
sequel.
second film.
It is the second film. Does it have a subtitle?
Yeah, of course it does.
Legacy, Resurrection,
It's an R, not resurrection.
Rebirth,
No.
Redemption?
No.
I feel like if I can get the subtitle, I can
You
reverse
definitely
engineer
can.
the answer. Revolution?
No.
Revelation?
No.
Resurrection?
No.
I guessed that already.
Did that one already, I think.
Redemption?
No.
Returns.
No. Good guess.
Closer?
No.
Okay. Direct me on the R word.
Angry.
Revenge.
Rage?
Close.
Revenge.
Revenge is close.
Not redemption. Revenge.
It's basically means
Retribution?
revenge. Even closer.
Ooh.
Fuck. Retribution, redemption, revenge. Rage. David's gripping. He's.
You're just so close with
Punching his-
Retribution.
What am I not thinking of?
This movie that you've definitely seen.
I've definitely
Is
seen.
it good?
No.
Okay, great.
It's not good, and I've definitely seen it.
What was the genre you said?
Because I talk about it because
Action.
you think that lowly of me. You know, I've definitely seen it.
Because you like toys.
Oh, it's G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Oh, that's so
Retaliation.
funny. Okay.
Which is bad, correct?
Yeah.
It's not good. You can't defend
No,
that
it's
one.
got some good stuff in it. It's not good.
G.I. Joe Retaliation in its third weekend. Number 5 at the box office. The movie that was open last week at number 1. That's why we can do last week.
Okay.
It's a horror
We've covered
remake.
it. It's a horror remake. And we've covered it?
On the Patreon.
We've covered it on the Patreon. Part of a franchise we've covered on the
Oh,
Patreon.
I have a guess, but I want you. This is your.
What's
thing.
your guess?
The Thing?
No, but very similar to the Thing remake.
In that it's
Why are you remaking a masterpiece?
Yeah.
sure.
Oh no, not this one.
They do a better job than the Thing remake, in my opinion.
The thing about the Thing remake, while you're thinking, Griffin,
yeah.
is that
Evil Dead?
they did the best version of that.
Yeah.
Did you say Little Bear?
Evil Dead.
It's
Evil Dead.
Evil.
Oh,
Dead.
but that's good.
It is good.
I think that's great.
The
Actually.
Fede Alvarez.
Yeah,
Yes,
Fede.
yes.
Fede
Yeah.
is, the shit.
What were
but
you saying?
yeah.
Sorry.
About what was I talking about?
The Thing, like, why would you remake the
Oh,
Thing?
but I think what they did was actually the best version of it because it wasn't
Yes.
a remake.
Its
It was
own
like
thing.
this
It's a
is
prequel,
where the
right.
dog comes from.
Right, yeah.
But giving it
I
the
was
same
thrilled to know about.
title confused everyone.
I know. It should have been called the dog.
Yeah, it should have been called the dog. It should have been called the
Well,
dog.
The German Shepherd.
But yes, Fede Alvarez's Evil Dead, which is, as we said on the podcast, pretty crunchy fun.
Pretty crunchy fun.
Yeah.
Says David Sims of the Atlantic. I think
don't know.
Evil Dead Rise looks fun too.
Me?
no.
No.
No, I think it looks great, but it looks like a retread of the Evil Dead, and that makes me concerned.
But they're in a high rise.
Are they?
Different place, yeah.
Ooh,
Apartment
fun.
building.
Okay, different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I like about the trailer too?
Can you imagine living next to where that's happening?
It sounds like
you
the
keep
fucking
it
our
down?
studio today. It sounds like someone's
Yeah, isn't it?
next door is doing an Evil Dead. No, I like in the trailer that the Deadites are like fucking with her.
Right.
That they
kind
have
of
the
old
annoying,
classic.
like taunting quality of the Sam Raimi Deadites.
Mhm. Oh,
They're
okay,
like,
yeah.
boo, boo. Like, I like that the Deadites are assholes in the
Right.
Raimi
Who's
movies.
directing this?
Who is it? I think it's a Fede Alvarez type upstart
Lee Cronin,
Uh-huh.
who appears to be a guy,
Okay.
made a movie called The Hole in the Ground.
Hmm.
It's like an Irish horror movie.
Okay.
So much Irish horror.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's a scary place. You've also got the Jurassic Park remake. I mean, re-release.
3D. Okay.
You've got Olympus Has Fallen.
Mhm.
You've got Oz the Great and Powerful. Speaking of Sam Raimi.
One of
You've
the
got
greats.
Tyler Perry's Temptation. Don't remember that one.
That's his wildest movie, I would
Is that the one with Kim
Is it?
Kardashian?
That, yes. Kim Kardashian, Taraji.
Yes. Confessions of a Marriage Counselor. Right?
Yes. Brandy.
Yes, Brandy's in it.
That movie has one of the wilder twist
It's
endings.
not
I've ever seen.
Taraji. That's a different one.
That's
Oh,
Acrimony.
it's Journey Smollett.
Journey Smollett. Bell.
Yes.
Acrimony is the craziest movie I haven't
Right.
finished watching.
Right. I confuse Acrimony and Temptation, but Temptation's the one that is bananas.
Really?
Temptation is almost trance level insanity
Oh, wow.
in its twists and turns.
Number 10 at the box office.
Mhm.
The Place Beyond the Pines.
What week? of release?
In its third week.
So it was
Wow,
up
yeah.
to what, 275 million domestic?
Got dumped in March.
Yeah.
If you remember, that was a TIFF movie, but
Yeah.
then it got dumped in March.
Yeah. With two
Really
humongous
interesting
stars.
movie.
I
I
like
like
Yeah.
that movie a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a
It
perfect example
Falls
of
apart.
yes.
Yes.
When
right.
that came out, I was like, oh, a little disappointing. And now I'm like, what I would give for A Place Beyond the Pines.
Right.
It's a dark
Well.
time.
Yeah.
Like it's a dark time.
No, cinema's on the up. On the way up.
What is
Nia.
cinema?
Cinema, it's going
Okay.
back up.
Like
Yeah, I hope
Maverick and
so.
his famous Top Gun jet.
Ugh.
You don't like Maverick?
I loved watching all those action scenes in Maverick,
Yeah.
and also
The sex scene with Jennifer Connelly.
we're not
which
even
you
talking
found
about
to
that because
be-
that was the most sickening thing I've ever seen. Actually, no, it wasn't even sickening. It was just her lowering onto a pillow. I was like,
like Dracula.
but it's like that whole
I think it's
movie
smart
is
that they're like, no one wants to watch Tom Cruise do this.
I don't
Just
wanna-
cut
I
to
don't think
the
he wants to watch it either. I just want
no,
him saying
cut
that.
to him
I'm-
talking to her. Yeah.
Exactly, and it's
Yeah.
still in his t-shirt. I'm
Yes,
like,
of course.
you look good. Just take off their shirt.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, I enjoyed it so much. It was the first movie in a while that actually like got my heart racing. got
Yes.
my,
Yeah.
which I think is why everyone's like best picture. But I also was like, there's all this diversity in the movie, but the entire movie is everyone being like, look at that white man go.
Yep.
It's like a
Undeniable.
fucking
We missed
shrine
him.
to white like masculinity. It's
Yes.
like, yes, everyone's like, thank God they're back. He's back, and I'm like,
Finally.
this is crazy. But I was like, yes.
Top Gun
you know?
Maverick is one of those movies where you just cannot sit down and think about
No.
it too much.
No, no.
But the first
Yeah.
Top Gun's the exact same way.
Well,
Oh
that's true.
yeah, which
Yeah.
is why no one's watched this since the 80s. But yeah, just I'm like, this is dark sided, but I loved it.
It's effective.
Yeah.
It's like undeniably
It's like the
effective.
new indie movie, which I can't wait to see. But my friend was like, he was like, I'm out. I can't deal with this. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, we let this white man whip people for decades. And I was like, but he's never whipped any black people. He was like, he whipped Arabs in the first movie. And I was like, you make some good points. And
I
he
haven't
was
thought
like,
about
I'll
that.
be first in line to watch the film. And I was like, so will I. And it's
Yep.
just like, it's really.
The Dial of Destiny.
I think
Yeah.
it looks fun.
It does. Look
Oh,
fun.
I mean, James Mangold's gonna fucking kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And David, you and I were both agreeing like it not being directed by Spielberg helps take a lot of pressure off of it
100%.
pressure's
yeah.
off.
in a way
Oh,
where it's like
yeah.
I just want this to be enjoyable.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think it's gonna be good.
It's gonna be a great summer for movies, including your
What
movie,
else-
Nia.
I was like, what else is coming out?
The Marvels.
Yeah, I'm literally shooting while that comes out, so I'm not even gonna be like.
You're
present.
making The Water Dancer. Is that
No,
what
I'm
you're shooting?
making
No.
an adaptation of Hedda Gobbler, this
Oh right.
Norwegian play from.
Yeah, no, I know how to go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sure, yeah, cool.
But it's like kind of kookier and crazier and sexier. Speaking of sex and movies,
Yeah.
Who's in it?
Or
is it a secret?
I don't know if I can announce.
Okay, don't announce
it
anything.
yet.
Don't get in trouble.
Oh, fine.
Jesus.
Oh, fine.
You can just bleep it all out.
Yeah.
But it's playing Hedda
Cool.
and playing Loveborg.
Excuse
Ooh.
me.
I know.
Ooh.
And then Thea is being played by. I don't know if her deal's done, but whatever. And then.
We definitely are bleeping this.
Yeah, we're bleeping all of
Oh
this
no, of
out.
course, no. But
But it'll
just
be
bleep
fun
the
to have
names.
it. Yeah. Keep all the surrounding talk.
And then. Well, again, deal pending is
Sure.
playing the judge, and then we're trying to get who wants to do it, but who would be married to and has like a sex scene with her.
So
And
okay,
yeah.
so sorry. You want the names to be bleeped out,
Actors'
but I
names.
feel like all of this other information is going to potentially be
I think keep all
tricky.
I think look.
no,
your
actually,
call.
it's just deals. No, there's no identifying information.
And Ben, once again, with what I'm about to say, bleep out the name in question. I was going through my phone recently and trying to delete like duplicate contacts or people where I'm just like, why do I have this number saved? This was like a taxi driver. I'm never going to call this again, whatever, right? I found I had email. I have never met her. I don't understand why I would. I was like going back
talking about her.
Well, sure.
So she's just in your address book.
But I was like going back through and I was like, was I on some group email with her? Did I do like a reading with her 15 years ago that I didn't realize?
Yeah.
I want to just show this email to you and see if it is correct or if I have saved someone else under her name. I'm confused by it.
I don't have her email address.
Interesting. Okay. Then maybe
it's firstname.lastname@gmail.com.
Well, sure.
That's
It was a weird one.
Okay.
Yeah.
At me.
Yes.
Right.
That was the weird part.
Well, that's
funny.
exciting.
Yeah.
But so you're shooting that when Marvel's comes out this summer. That's cool.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which I cannot wait for. And then yeah.
And Marvel's is going to be a platform released, you think? Do you know when it goes
No,
live?
we're hoping for theatrical. Fingers
God,
crossed.
it's-
you never
yeah.
know.
You know, I've been really fighting with Disney over this.
Yeah.
No, it's great. I mean, it's insane. It's
Yeah.
absolutely nuts. And I hopefully will come out in China.
Yeah.
China's finally letting Disney movies back in.
Yeah.
Which
They just announced they're letting Megan in, and that girl is a killer.
You got to watch out for her.
Obsessed.
I can't believe
one
they're
eye on
letting
her.
her into China with those knives.
Those dance moves.
Those dance
And
moves.
those- all that twerking.
Yes.
All right.
Nia, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nia.
Come back anytime, Nia.
Yeah, great. Okay, so
Yeah.
I thought you were going to do another quote for some reason.
No. I'm just saying, thank you for being here. Open invitation. Come back anytime. Feel free to bring gifts next time. No pressure. She said she wanted to bring
I will,
something
I
for the
will, I
mantelpiece day. I'm not. You can do whatever you want. We'll gladly accept a gift. Go next to King Ralph. Thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you to Marie Barty for our social media, helping to produce the show, AJ McKee and Alex Barron for our editing, Lane Montgomery and the Great American Novel for our theme song, JJ Birch for our research and letting us know about the general, Joe Bowen and Pat Reynolds for our artwork. You can go to blankcheckpod.com for links to some real nerdy shit, including our Patreon, Blank Check special features, where at this point we're still doing Men in Black.
Did I tell you guys I went to college with Marie Barty?
You went to college with who?
Marie Barty.
Yeah, yes,
Have we talked about
absolutely.
this?
No,
Yes.
yeah.
Brilliant social media woman.
She's the best. No, we're about to move on from Men in Black Griffin to,
Should we say what it is?
well, our next episode's the Olympics. So
Okay, so then
Listen to that.
Olympics, and also a reminder that every 10 days we unlock an episode from 3 years ago for free public consumption. So
Which
you go to
is-
patreon.com/blankcheck.
Trolls, the experience with Richard Lawson, a classic.
The bridge episode into the pandemic. The last thing we
Yeah.
did in person, one of the first things we had to record over Zoom. A great time you'll probably want to relive. Tune in next week for
Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs.
the episode David's. I wanted you to say it because
Oh.
you've been fucking waiting 8 years.
Steve Jobs.
David's
So,
favorite movie of all
Just
time.
to tease this episode, I was only able to get 2 treadmills, but we will be walking and talking.
We will.
We
the whole time.
won't.
No stationary recording. And as always, hats off to the general.